Good night, Steve.
Good night. Ugh. Were you like yesterday or the day before?
It was Sunday.
Hello. How's it going, guys? I just got the tweet live. Do me the favor. Go give it some love. Hope you're well rested. No, not at all, dude. No, I'm barely alive. Honestly, by all accounts, I should probably not stream today. But I have missed too many streams. Today, honestly, I'd just sit there watching stuff and vegging out anyways. So, ah, okay. I think we're good to go. I'm probably forgetting something. I just, whatever. We're already late, so let's get this party started. Oh, there we go. Hold on. That's one thing I'm missing. What am I? What is this? Oh, it's Todd Howard. Okay. Anyways. Hello, everyone. Am I free? Everyone on VIP keeps asking me that. I don't know. Darth, thank you for the 19. Appreciate it. I like being real with y'all for a second. Actually, hold on. Let me get into the 90 plus node. Or at least get the AP spending. Y'all get to see my jank ass 3 turn. Yeah, I've been pretty good about not wasting AP. All things considered, that's amazing. I think like where, you know, we got to the end of the season here and everything was getting super like kind of busy, was like right after I finished the story for both servers and was able to just kind of veg out on like the 90 plus nodes and stuff. So it made it a lot easier. If it had been even like a day or two faster, I would have been screwed. Shortcake, thank you for the 19. Remember, take care of yourself. Yeah, it sucks because there was a video that I wanted to make for you guys and it dealt with Draco, and unfortunately at this point I don't really see the point in making it because there are 2 days left and I would post that video and the Draco banner would be gone. So I think at this point I have to scrap that idea, and that's gonna like, it's at least gonna like put a hiccup into my plans for like content creation, because now I'm not sure what it is that I want to do for the interim here. We definitely have like Lotto prep and stuff, but there's things that I kind of need to get done. You can save it for Draco rerun. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So, let me real quick jump in to an LB7 node, which will break the capture card as it do. Actually probably need to be doing the crash site instead, which is the better one for the daggers. I think I have enough finally to finish Cuckoo, I want to say. What was I running in this node? Was it just... You don't have an AoE arts pretender, so it wasn't that. I think I was just running a berserker. Yeah, it may have just been Muchachi. Can't fit Feihu. Give me a 3-star. Hosuin, get in there. I'm never bonding you normally, Hosuin, so it's fine. Hosuin is what I like to consider a safe unit. He's somebody that, like, I'm not going to say, like, you'll never use him, but you will literally never use him for farming. So, as a result, he's a very safe bond choice for your backline, because it's unlikely that you will ever take him enough to bond him anyways. At least not significantly. Like, you can certainly try to, and that's choice, but be what it be. Not worth running yourself on M2 when you need breaks. I think so. Let me put a lot of this into perspective for you guys. Of course it went in, it broke. Give me 1 second. As is tradition, yes. I can finally finish Cuckoo? Yep. Inshin farming? Yeah. Challenge accepted. Well, I'm not gonna say you couldn't set up a node to like get Inshin to crit things and stuff, just that it's too RNG, too annoying. Most people are not going to run that, right? Okay, so chat, let me explain and recap. Aniko, thank you for the 11, appreciate it. And if I didn't say it earlier, Hernandez, thank you for the 3 months as well. So as y'all know, today is it not working? Okay. Today is April 15th. Okay. April 15th is our normal tax deadline. This is like the end of the season where essentially you have a spring season and a fall season. The spring season is everybody's returns and the money that they owe is due. Okay? You can extend your return to the fall season. However, you don't get to extend the money. The money must be paid in the spring, always. So you can extend to give yourself more time to try to beat the number down, but you still got to pay. So that's the way that this stuff always ends up working. Galactic, thank you for the 43. I survived the gauntlet. See, this is great. Because I'm about to explain something to chat, and it's not good. So, in the spring deadline, and really the same thing in the fall, you normally have a March deadline and an April deadline. March is normally your pass-throughs. So these are things like partnerships and S-corps, yada, yada, yada. Okay? The April deadline is individuals, which includes individuals and C-corps, because C-corps taxation-wise are functionally an individual. We don't need to get into that, but there was a whole hullabaloo I remember years ago where, like, I think it was Mitt Romney said something about it when he was running for president, and he's like, well, corporations are individuals. He's actually correct when he says that, at least for taxation purposes. And I guess you could also say, metaphorically speaking, he's also correct if you want to say that corporations are made up of individuals. However, such a statement would not play well no matter how you tried to say it, like, politically, right? Like, people are just not going to buy that. They're going to get upset about it. And they did. So it is what it is. I don't need to get into that. But I always found that an interesting one because he technically wasn't wrong. So we long did the pass-throughs. We've been on the April deadline. Okay, now, like I said, normally the deadline for this is April 15th. However, for the first time that I have literally ever heard of, ever, the federal government decided to go, hey, you know what? We're actually going to give you more time to file. You have until May 1st. So, chat, is tax season over? So, I want to be clear here, in case anyone's watching. This does not apply to you unless you live in Florida. And it still technically doesn't apply to you even if you live in Florida unless you were hit by one of the hurricanes. You have to actually be in the disaster area. I was for multiple of them, so it was fun. But yeah, so like this is what's rough. This is why when everyone keeps asking me, like, so you're finally done. You're done, right? Cad, you're done. You're done. You're done. I'm not fucking done, chat. And it sucks. I want so badly to tell everyone that I'm done. And I just want to say, especially to people in VIP, if y'all keep asking me, like, so you're done, and I seem angry, that's why. I'm not angry at you. I'm more angry that I can't give you a proper response. Like, because I don't know. This is just rough. Hell Week has been extended. I don't know. So the way we operated is we operated as if the April 15th deadline was our true deadline, and we tried to get everyone done today. However, this became readily apparent because we didn't start working up people for extension until last Monday, that wasn't going to happen. We actually did get the vast majority of the returns worked that needed to be and estimated and everything like that. However, because we didn't have enough of a lead, we ended up having to tell people like, hey, yeah, you can bring your check in later. So now for the next 15 days until May 1st, we have to sit there and harass people to get us their money. On top of this, part of the reason that we got the May 1st extension, and I saw someone in chat saying it's because the IRS fired people. That's not why. Because here's the reason why. So the reason that this worked specifically for Florida is because all of the 2023 stuff, so this was the deadline for the 2024 stuff, all the 2023 stuff that got extended is also due then. So I technically still have 15 more days of hell. And it's killing me. And I just don't know. Hype chest? Oh boy. Let's open my hype chest. Oh my god. I got a cat. Presidente, thank you for the 56. Appreciate it. So it's rough. For instance, my 2023 return still not done. My 2024 return still not done. Technically, my 2024 doesn't have to be done, but it is what it is. But it's like a double whammy. So the good news is a lot of it's done. The bad news is I don't know if the office will reduce hours over the next 2 weeks. The bad news is we are going to have to keep like on top of people and keep like almost being like high test mode. On top of that, I think I aggravated my father today. Because my father wanted me to stay late again. And I basically, like, he started trying to guilt trip me and I guilt tripped him back. Because, frankly speaking, we always work off of a list, a client list. Most of the people on that list were done. In a project status that was beyond the accountant. So things like we're waiting on their payment, needs to be transmitted to the IRS electronically, which is something that somebody else has to do. So there are various steps, right? There were a couple that were not. The ones that were not mine. I finished my 4:15 deadline as of 2 p.m. today. Well in advance. And that was technically not true. I actually finished it like Saturday. Literally the past like 3 days here, I have been doing everybody else's work to help them. So I've been good, but I've been having to try to bail other people out. So he was giving me all this crap to stay. Chat, y'all know exactly what happened. And this is why I'm telling you the story, so that you guys are apprised. Friday was an ass kicker. I then had to work Saturday. Friday was the last day I streamed FGO with you guys. I then had to work Saturday. That Saturday work day went... I don't even remember. Was it like... It was almost 7, I want to say, on Saturday. Sunday I did not work. I streamed for you guys. It was my one day off. Monday, I could have stayed late. I canceled stream because I was told that we were going to stay late. And then we only stayed till 7 p.m. At which point, like, chat, I could have gone live with you, but it was probably like, it wouldn't have been, like, I wouldn't have gotten live until at least after 8 o'clock. And I was like, I didn't feel like it at that point. I was just like, whatever. I told everyone I'm going to quit. Like, it's like there's no point in trying to like, ping everyone again and be like, hey, come back. Like, so it is what it is. Okay. And then here we are Tuesday, and he's trying to get me to stay late again, despite the fact that we've mostly cleared the list. The only things left on the list are stupid tchotchke problems. And here's my frustration. So what was left on the list were other people's shit. Particularly, there were about 3 different returns from another girl who works at the office who was not there today. The biggest freaking deadline of the year. And she was not there. I don't know why. I know she has health issues. I know that she goes through some shit, and my father is very kind and nice to her. However, to me, she takes off way too often. She gets way too much leeway. And this is not the first time this has fucked us on a deadline. I'm pretty much of the opinion that she should be fired. Okay. So there's 3 returns that are still left on the list. This was at 5:50. Okay. So my normal time that I get off is 5 o'clock. Tax season, 6 o'clock. And we're coming up on it being me staying later, me having to, delay, possibly cancel stream. I had already ordered food because the list was looking good, and I didn't think this was going to be a problem. I was like, we got to be done. Literally, the post office closes at 6 p.m., so there's not much you can do anyways, even if you manage to get stuff done. Like, you can electronically file stuff, but anything paper's got to be gone. So it is what it is. So there's 3 stuff left at 5:50. Chat. My dad comes to me and asks me to do one of these 3. I do. In 10 minutes time, I turn it around, hand it right back to him, answering the question that he had. He had to, quote unquote, review it and call the client on it because this had a state return. And guess what wasn't extended by the, deadline that they allowed Florida? Other states. So anything with an other state had to be done. I gave him everything that he needed at 6 o'clock. He's good. And he starts guilt tripping me about the other 2. And I'm like, it's not mine. There's no states on them, so they don't have to be done. They technically have 15 more days. Frankly speaking, chat, that bitch didn't show up. And I'm like, this is not my problem. I understand that it's a client issue and you don't want to lose the client and you don't want to piss them off. But there's a point where we are taking arrow after arrow for somebody else's fuck up. What a song. So in the process, I'm sitting there telling him, I'm like, look, I already ordered my food. The dogs need to go out. Like, they've been locked up for like 6+ hours. I'm like, it is what it is. It's like, I've got to do something. I need to go. And I'm like, everything else on the list is fine. It's just these 3 returns. And you're telling me I need to stay and I need to do it. And I'm like, it's not my problem. I'm sorry. And if we get in trouble for it, guess whose fault it is? It's not mine, and I'm not taking the blame for it. So yeah, like, don't get me wrong, chat. I understand if there's a death in the family. I understand if you get in a car accident. Like sheer like shit happening, I get it. But that's exactly why you can't have somebody that's just out because I have a tummy ache, I don't feel good. And it may be more than that. I don't know. Was never told. So at the end of the day, I don't care. Because we didn't assign that stuff. Nobody covered for it. She didn't ask anyone to cover for her. She didn't hand it to anyone and say, hey, these need to get done. These had these things. She just bailed, as far as I'm concerned. So it's like, it is what it is. Maybe she has a completely valid and legitimate excuse. I don't care. It's happened so many times, I'm beyond caring. So he's trying to get me to stay late to work on this. And I'm sitting there telling him, like, I have stayed late multiple times. I have worked well over the number of hours I need to. And it's not my problem. Here's the thing. Chat. This is what I'm pissed about. Monday. He made me call out. He made me basically cancel the stream. Told me I'm going to work late. And then only worked us an extra hour. Like, sure, I was happy to go home, but you don't get to just completely go, oh, whoops, tee-hee, somebody else called out the next day. Now we all are like shotgun to the head. We should have stayed later on Monday. This was pure mismanagement. Why do you let it go to the day of the deadline instead of doing it the day before? Especially when you already put everybody on notice that they have to stay. There is a point you can't stay later than about like 9 o'clock, because even if you stay and work, you can't talk to clients. So like, if somebody has a problem with their return and you need an answer and you got to call the client, you ain't calling them after 9 o'clock, because some people just go to bed. We have elderly clients. We have, people that wake up a lot earlier in the morning. So it is what it is. It's like, it's not a good idea to call after a certain time. But I'm looking at this and I'm just like, I know I'm going to have it out with my father tomorrow about like, oh, I quote unquote bailed. But I didn't. And I let him know. And I made him and kept him apprised of the whole situation. I'm like, it's not my issue. And this deadline was a total clusterfuck that never should have been. It was misrun, mismanaged, and if they try to take it out on me, I'm going to lose my shit on them. So it is what it is. I don't often talk work with you guys like this, but I wanted you guys to understand that's what's been going on. I have been kept late multiple days in a row here. I'm sorry that I've had to cancel stream with y'all, but it's just exhausting. It's exhausting dealing with it, and I can't get a straight answer out of anybody as to like what to expect. And that is the card I'm going to play with them. Is it's not that I won't work late. It's not that I won't be there when the firm needs me to be. I will be. I will absolutely be there if it needs me to be. However, one, it didn't. Not in that moment. We were still fine. It was a semantic deadline. And two, the time that I was able to stay late, we didn't use. We basically threw that one out and let everyone go home. And then somebody decided not to show up to work the next day and caused a major problem. And it's like, it shouldn't have been that way. I'm sorry. Arroz con pollo? Oh, nice. Hope it cheers you up, not unless I get to eat it. Shit happens at B. It do. It's just, it's awful, dude. So I don't know. I don't know what the next 2 weeks brings for me. I'm a little bit beside myself because it shouldn't be this bad, but it has become this bad. It kind of wrecked my content pacing for like YouTube and stuff like that. It, wrecked my consistency for stream here with you guys. And I get it. It like, yeah, I got to put myself first. I got to put my job first. But it's just like, it's things that to me, it didn't have to happen. It was preventable. And I was beholden to the whims of other people. And that's why I'm upset about it. So what happens when she shows up tomorrow? I don't know. Something tells me my dad's going to stay real late and make sure it all gets done. And like, kudos to my father That's what makes him a great, like, a great business owner. But also at the same time, I'm like, he should have fired her. I'm sorry. I don't care anymore. It's too much leeway. You can't be gone on a major deadline. It's like, at that point, it's not the employees' faults that are there. It's the person that's not there. Sometimes you just got to put your foot down. Yeah, I hate to say it. She's just going to keep doing it. And she knows, and she absolutely knows that it's a thing, and keeps, like, trying to, like, keep him completely in the loop, or so it seems. But I've noticed she does try to, like, sweet talk my dad some. Not in the sense of, like, flirting with him or anything like that. Just in the sense of, like, trying to make things seem better than they are. Trying to make it seem like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, no, it fucking is. Because, and this is what I'm going to have to tell my dad, is like, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, it's impacting me. It's impacting my morale now. It's like, you're so lenient with her that I have to bust my ass, that I would much rather you fire her and get someone that'll be there. Even if I don't like the person, at least they're there. Like, holy crap. Good luck surviving the rest of tax season. That's rough. Chat, it may turn out that tomorrow everything's fine. This is why I'm saying I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know how we will handle the next 15 days. And it's bothering me that I don't know that. Because, like I said, I can't get a straight answer out of people. Partially because they don't know, but also partially because, like, my dad is a little bit, I have to fault him for this. He's trying to keep everybody on edge. And I'm like, I get it, but you're stressing me the fuck out. It's like, stop. That's kind of like, when you're in charge like that, you have to try not to stress people out. And I don't think he understands that right now. Why didn't your dad tell you the reason for her absence? I think he knows I'll get really fucking pissed. But I also think, to a degree, my dad is worried because my dad just, like, he doesn't want to, like, lose the help, right? Because hiring someone's a pain in the ass. We're not a major firm. We're not in a big city. It's one of those deals. So it's like, it is what it is. But it's also, holy crap, start hiring someone else and get rid of her ass at that point. Like, keep her on until you find someone else, but then can her. I don't think there's any problem with that. Because the problem is, at least in her case, I don't know that we can rely on her, right? Like, and she's, chat, for the record, she's been working for us now for like 4 or 5 years. But for 4 or 5 years, it has been this way. It is always this way. And that's why it's just driving me up a wall with her. Completed college and have a job lined up? Congratulations. Or at least not as much. Yeah, there's always going to be stress. It's a pressure cooker environment for this sort of thing. But that's also why it's like it matters so much, right? Wait, did I just... Oh man, I don't know what I did here. I think I did I swapped backwards because the node I've been doing on JP. Yeah, so hopefully, chat, I go in tomorrow, everything's fine, everything is crisis averted, and hours go back down. That's probably the biggest thing that's raising my stress level at this point, is since January 15th. So for the past 3 months, chat, the past 3 months, I have been working 8 to 6. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not like a 12-hour shift, okay? But it is every day. And y'all know, I try to be live by like 7:15. That is right there Right there. Back out like 15 minutes for a commute. I have like 1 hour to myself a day right now. It sucks. It's fucking awful. It just is what it is. And that hour I say that I have, some of it's spent prepping for stream, some of it's spent eating, some of it's spent taking care of the dogs. So you can take that hour, you can back it out. It's more like I maybe have like 15 minutes. Maybe. It's not fun. There's a difference between accommodating and putting extra labor and uncertainty on your other employees. Yeah, and I personally, where it kills us, like, it's bad enough that she's gone the day of a major deadline while she still had stuff on her plate, right? However, part of the reason we get to this point in a deadline is because she's gone routinely throughout the week after week, through the tax season. So it's like, we never get caught up. We are always behind because she's half there rather than like, oh, I'm always there. Yeah, there's people on the team that really like her. And it was hilarious because somebody that, like, he's not a malicious guy at all. Okay? At all. Even he was, like, cracking wise-ass jokes about the fact that she wasn't here today. So it's like, that tells you it's impacting everyone. Everyone notices it. Everyone is like, what the heck, dude? Do you not require doctor's notes if it's medical? I mean, like I said, she keeps my father in the loop, but it is what it is. Usually I'd rather take someone never being there than just sometimes it fucks up scheduling. Yeah, and a lot of it is just like, I don't know. It's a weird life situation. I could tell you guys all of her stuff, right? And it might make you empathetic towards her. However, all I can deal with at this point is the end result. It's like, while I understand life throws you curveballs and doesn't make it easy, at the same time, I don't know that it's my problem. I don't know that it's the firm's problem. It's a, if you can't hold down the job, it is what it is type situation. And then we have a Lotto coming up. And I'm not prepped for the Lotto at all. I got to get the Chaldea app installed on this computer. I got to get it updated, which I don't remember if I actually have the I think I transferred it over from the other computer, but I don't remember where I put it. Like my backup for Chaldea app. Because like just downloading Chaldea app's not a problem. See, chat. Yeah, I don't see it. I may have to. Oh, that's right. Yeah, God. Like, so is it this weekend, this Easter, chat? I think it's this weekend. Yeah, literally this Sunday is Easter Sunday, which is also bad. So there is one silver lining here. So Sunday is Easter Sunday. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. However, like, this happens a lot of time where it's close proximity to the deadline of the 15th. We've had literally Easter Sunday fall like the Sunday right before the 15th, which is really nasty whenever that happens. So However, my mom, I love my mother, but in her infinite wisdom, she has allowed my brother to host Easter this year. Which means Sunday, I now gotta like go travel over to my brother and spend the day with him. I love my brother, but dear Lord Almighty, the last thing I want to do the weekend after tax season ends is go travel and spend it with family. I don't want to see any of them right then. I just want to like cocoon into a ball and do nothing. Like, that's it. That's all I want. Just leave me alone. So it's like, I'm not upset that there's a holiday. I'm not upset that like it's there, but it's like I really wish that my parents were hosting it instead so that I wouldn't have to travel. Because then it would just be like, okay, hop over to my parents' house, you know, have a nice dinner, meet everybody, and then just like, boom, be done. Like, you can always go, I'm just not feeling well and stay home and cocoon. No. I mean, you joke. I'm not saying that I would do that. However, I am saying, chat, I can already feel the post-tax season stuff. Where, like, we got through the worst of it today. And I can already feel that, like, that fatigue. Some of you guys may understand this when I say this, but, like, if you've ever been in a high-pressure environment, in a pressure cooker, for an extended period of time, when you come out of that, your body goes, hey, remember all of that stress? Remember all of that anxiety? Remember all of that like hard work that you did where you pushed yourself further and harder than you should have? Yeah, we put that off. Now it's happening. Now you're going to feel it. All of it. Now. And so it's like, it happens almost every tax season where like right after I do get sick. It is a thing. So it's like a little bit I've got to like find a way to trick my body into being like, it's not over. Because, dear Lord, I don't want to deal with it. From tax season to leave me alone season. It's funny too, because my sister especially always complains that we don't want to do anything after tax season, both me and my dad. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, I love you. You're my family. I will always be happy to do stuff with you. Just not then. Pick another time. That's it. It's finally over, pretty much. It's February, March, and I'm glad it's over this year at least. Yeah, I think one of the most like intrusive thoughts you'll ever have as an accountant. So if anyone is ever here, or you're another like big seasonal deadline worker like me, you'll understand this. One of the most intrusive thoughts you can have is this idea that, oh, I'll never get to enjoy the spring or the fall because I will be just locked indoors all day, constantly. And when you start thinking that way, man, it just really begins to mess with your brain. Overclocking a body run breaks it over time. Yeah, that's a little bit why if I'm going to go up like that, I go down afterwards. I let my body crash. Major product launches or overhauls. Yeah. It's like, I think in some professions, it's less like apparent as to when it's going to occur for you. Whereas like with, again, like taxis, it's like we're dealing with government deadlines. So it just is what it is. As unless we get to 1 million subs, or don't forget to support Cat on his quest. It's true. Yeah, chat, you can make it all end by making me rich, and then I won't have to go back to work and kill myself again. Not saying I'm going to kill myself. Just, the thought of, like, going to work constantly being akin to killing yourself. But, yeah, it's rough. It's... I am hopeful that the upcoming days here are not as bad. The good news is, the one silver lining in this is that because this weekend is Easter Sunday, we have this concept here in Florida called snowbirds. Snowbirds are retirees from up north that come down to Florida during the winter months because the north is cold and they don't like it. So they come to Florida during this time. It sucks. I hate it. I have nothing against you northerners, but please keep your old people. Don't get me wrong, it gives Florida a lot of like revenue from it and stuff like that, but like it makes traffic so bad. Anywhere you want to go, too bad. Slow everywhere. Oh, did you want to like literally travel just a mile up the road? Nah, you got behind somebody doing 15 under the speed limit who is lost. Oh, did you just want to get to work on time? Nah, man, I'm fat and happy coming back from that all-you-can-eat 5 a.m. buffet because I couldn't sleep and I got the early bird special. Yeah, so now I'm going to sit there in the middle of rush hour in the morning and just completely clog up the roads because even though my arteries are clogged, I'm going to make you suffer instead. That's what dealing with snowbirds is like. So, yeah, that's the good side. Literally after Easter, most of their leases go up and they head back up north. So, no more snowbirds. That's the one good thing I get to look forward to. Yeah, like summer in Florida actually is hilarious because Floridians have a tendency to vacation everywhere else. So summer in Florida, unless you're at like directly at one of the beaches, summer in Florida's chill. It's like, oh, thank God everyone's gone. Because to the same degree, Floridians don't like staying here in the heat. Every other week, Jesus. My sister's in-laws are snowbirds because her father-in-law has a physical ailment, which warm weather, Florida's winter helps provide and him move easier. Yeah, like there's numerous reasons why people do it. Like I said, I don't mind it too much, so much as like it always coincides with tax season, which always makes me like angrier. It's like when I drive, chat, I have anger issues. I'm not like road rager, but you can ask literally anybody in VIP that's been in me or been in there with me while I'm in the car and I have like Discord open. I will swear like a sailor at people because it just drives me insane. It just drives me insane. It's like, I know they can't hear me, but it's my way of venting the frustration. So anyways, chat, how was your weekend? How's everything been with you guys? Somebody tell me something that's more positive and uplifting. I want to hear about good news. I almost died today. Oh, that sucks. That's not good. I mean, same. I almost got T-boned today, but it is what it is. Somebody doesn't understand the concept of a two-way stop sign. It helps that I'm alone and no one can hear me. Understandable. I don't want a prince and lover ought to be. I'm heading to SakuraCon this weekend in Seattle. Doesn't FGO normally, like doesn't NA normally go to SakuraCon? Or am I thinking of a different one? I could have sworn the NA staff normally has a panel there. Maybe? Yeah, I'm curious if you're headed there, Hayes, mind taking a look and seeing if it's on the schedule? Pollen has literally blinded my right eye. Allergic conjunctivitis. I don't like get blind, but the pollen does bother me a ton. And it's why, like, if you guys ever see me like messing with my eyes a bunch right now, it's usually why. That or I'm super tired, which is a thing. Also, chat, gave myself a nice haircut. The only thing is I can't trim the back, so I have a little bit of a mullet going. That was one of the few things I did Sunday before streaming is I woke up and gave myself a haircut because I was like, no, not dealing with it. I've literally had like tax season hair for a while here. I was beginning to look like Anakin. Cat Art Command needs an update. No, it doesn't. You just haven't checked it. Go give the artist some love. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. All burn up? Wait, what do you mean? Like normally when I cut my hair, I just eyeball it. Like I guess I could trim the back of my hair. The problem is I can't do a proper like taper on the back. Like I can straight up like get the mirror out and like literally reverse grip my clippers and deal with it. But like I can't get the proper like taper on the back of my head. And Chet probably doesn't know this, but I have a gigantic mole on the back of my head. I've had it for as long as I can remember. Doctor always tells me it's like completely benign. But yeah, I have like a maybe like the size of the end of this like pen cap. Like literally just on the back of my head. I don't know why. It's covered by my hair like 99% of the time. But if I shave my hair too short, it's definitely there. Oh, Anakin was burned up. Okay, I got you. No, not like that. I mean, I guess I do live in Florida, so Florida, Mustafar, same difference. I have fat, cute bunnies living in my yard. Actually, I have some in the area as well. Every once in a blue moon, I see them out in the morning. Like nobody else is awake, and I'm like leaving for work, and I'm like, I caught you. Sounds like a pillar cyst. I don't know what that means, and that makes it sound simultaneously more badass and more scary. There aren't scared of alligators? What do you mean? The rabbits? Like, chat, okay, so there are alligators in Florida, but they're not everywhere. Because alligators stick mostly to like lowlands and like swamp and like lake, right? Of which there's plenty around. However, there's also plenty of land in Florida. So the rest of it is covered in snakes. As evidenced by literally how many snakes I kill a year. So. Cyst equal giant pimple. Yes. Spiders too, no? Yeah. Yeah, pretty much everything you can imagine. We're basically Australia light in that regard. Like big, gigantic versions of things, but ours aren't as poisonous. I guess there's like not as much reason to be. I don't know why I keep doing the Musashi skill 3 here on this turn, but I do. Is Florida the alpha testing for Australia? I don't know. I think it's just a trade. So we have less dangerous wildlife, but we traded it for more dangerous, like, mankind. Like humanity. A fraction of one? I feel a little bit better about leaving my dogs outside sometimes. I don't leave them out like constantly, but like normally when like the temperature's not as hot and stuff, I'll let them be outside for longer periods of time because I know like one, they're old enough now that they won't just try to like dig their way through everything. And two, it's like just an effort to give them more time to like stretch their legs and kind of explore and adventure and be a dog. Okay. But yeah, this happened. I told you guys, like, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had to get rid of a snake. They had killed it already. Like, I heard them barking like the day before, and then like, I caught like Sasha trying to like roll in something one day, and I like called out to her from the door, and I saw her just like pick it up in her mouth and like run off with it. I was like, so the snake was just already dead. They had already killed it. Did you know the platypus is poisonous? I did. Because everything in Australia is poisonous. Beware of seagulls. The only thing you have to be aware of seagulls is them stealing your food or pooping on you. Both of which I have seen happen. My mother has been pooped on by a seagull, and I have literally seen numerous seagulls steal food. The alpha test for Australia is Africa? Yeah. Amazon rainforest is Proto-Australia? I mean, maybe with the size of the snakes and the poison, yeah. Venomous, poisonous is when you eat it. Oh, true, yeah. I'm so used to, like, JRPG methodology where like everything is a poison. Like what even is a venom? What do you mean? Venom is a an MCU character. Seagulls keep saying my. I don't get it. If you eat enough of it, you'll develop immunity, nodders. Yeah, be my guest. Go for it first. It's mine. From Nemo. I think it... Has it been that long since I've seen Nemo? Oh, yes. I forgot this is in the playlist. Love me some Soul Eater. Chat, what anime are you guys watching this season? This season's actually like, so again, it's one of those where it doesn't feel like there's that much like big name stuff, but there's some really high quality stuff this season. It just may not be the hypest as fuck season, but that's always what I've learned. Experience has told me over the years. It does not matter how hype a season is. In fact, usually the enjoyment level of a season is inversely proportional to how hype the season is. Because the more hype a season is, the more I get let down, inevitably. The less hype a season is, the less the expectations, and the more surprised I am. Fire Force? I have not touched Fire Force. Go Go Loser Ranger is great. If you guys have never watched it, season 2 of it, trust. Okay, chat. If you love Power Rangers, you will love that show. Here's the kicker, though. If you don't like Power Rangers, you will also love the show. Yeah. Trust. Best anime so far is Chinese. If it's the one I think you're referring to, which is To Be Hero, it's actually Japanese with some Chinese. New Gundam seems good. I have not watched the second episode of New Gundam, so I need to, but that's literally just been a thing. Devil May Cry was not an anime. I've revoked its anime privilege. And yes, chat, we watched it. So the good news is, while I haven't been able to stream for you guys, we have watched several movies. So I finally got to watch Pacific Rim. That was really good. Like, not gonna lie, I'm surprised I had not watched it before now. Y'all that said that it was a really good movie, you were correct. Probably the best mech-like movie I've ever watched. What else did I watch? We watched the Barbie movie. Ken is, in fact, the best part of that movie. And it's hilarious because it's almost encapsulated by the endings, where it's like, what Ken wants at the end of the movie is a completely relatable and realistic thing. What Barbie wants at the end of the movie is like some sort of like feminist nightmare. And it's hilarious. We were going to watch Barbenheimer, but we did not have the time. I've heard people say don't watch the second one, it's terrible. My understanding is the second one is just not as, like, well written. But I don't know. I'm somebody that I can watch, like, a mid-tier movie and be perfectly fine with it. I'm not someone that's like, oh my god, if it's not the best thing ever, it's the worst. Like, so for instance, okay, Devil May Cry. The first 4 episodes of Devil May Cry are fine. With one exception. They've absolutely changed Lady's character. As long as you can get past that, the first 4 episodes of Devil May Cry are fine. The next 4 episodes of Devil May Cry are utter dog trash, and whoever wrote that show deserves to be fired and never work in Hollywood ever again. And the reason why I can say this is because when it comes to something like Devil May Cry, the protagonist of the series is Dante. You do not get to replace Dante as the protagonist. You can do a spinoff, but if you do, you can't just call it Devil May Cry and say that it's a Netflix adaptation or some shit like that. No, it's no longer Devil May Cry if you replace Dante as the main character. And that is exactly what they try to do. They try to make Lady the main character, and the show is absolutely worse for it. Absolutely worse. Witch Watch. Wait, what's Witch Watch? Witch Watch isn't a second season, is it? Yeah, I won't touch Uma Musume, but that's because I don't give 2 shits about it. My Hero, I still gotta catch up on like mainline My Hero. I'm way far behind on it now. They absolutely ruined Lady by spitting on everything they stand for. So to get into this and to understand, so that my females in the audience don't suspect that I'm some sort of like male chauvinist, that I'm a sexist or anything like that. Strong female is a trope. And the reason that the strong woman trope is so bad is because the way it is done is wrong. Okay, if you go look at any anime, at any, like, I'm going to say any Hollywood movie or show from literally I want to say, like, honestly, probably like 2010 on backwards throughout all of time. What is a strong woman? Is a woman that is smart, capable, and owns it. Like she's probably sexy, she's desirable, which is what most women want to be. Not in the sense of like me trying to say this is like, oh, they're an object or something like that. No, in the sense that like a lot of women traditionally felt like powerful and like fulfilled by being, you know, basically like capable and intelligent and good looking, right? To a large degree, same thing for guys. Okay, it's not very different. The problem is after about 2010, this changed, and we started getting sort of the subversion of this idea where instead of it being a strong woman in quotation marks, it is now a strong woman, where only the strong is in quotation marks. Actually, I guess you could put woman in its own separate set of quotation marks. Because the issue at play here is instead of having a like capable woman, what we've done with this trope is now we Chat, here's what the strong woman trope is today. It's this exact phrase, just minus one of the O's and a W. That's what it is. Like, since 2010, the idea of a strong woman is a woman that's acting like a man. That's not a strong woman. That's a dude. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Like, and that's, to me, that's what they get wrong. There are several shows that get it right. There's several movies that get it right still, but the vast majority seem to get it wrong. And if there's any like big thing that I can point to, oh my God, does Netflix always get it wrong? Always. Netflix gets it wrong. Do you write with your mouse? If so, how's it so legible? I do write with my mouse, and I have no idea. Honestly, I feel like half the time it's scribble. So, but yeah, like, it's this idea that a woman needs to be able to do everything that a man can do and be like stronger than the man. And chat, listen, obviously something like female bodybuilders exist. Obviously there are really strong women in existence. They're the extreme exception, and most of them are on like beaver tranquilizer and various other like testosterone laden things. Okay, for literally 99.9% of women out there, they're not, quote, as strong as a man, not in physical strength. That doesn't mean they can't be a strong woman. They just have to be strong in different ways. And that's what actually makes them admirable. And that's what so many of these shows get wrong. Right? Like, unfortunately, it is what it is. So when you look at a show like Devil May Cry, that's what they got wrong with Lady. Lady being a badass character, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, so if they wanted to change Lady's backstory up a little bit, there's technically nothing wrong with that. What's the problem? The problem is when, in order to make Lady look strong, they keep making Lady lock Dante away. Guess what? that immediately gets seen by every viewer for what it is. It's not that the woman is actually stronger, it's that you're literally making the man less of a man. You're trying to downgrade the actual protagonist in everyone's eyes, and everyone sees it as such. So it's like, it gets really stupid when you do it this way. And I say this as somebody that, again, it's like, I will watch a show that is completely centered around a woman. I've watched many such shows and movies. I have no problem with it when it's done well. Like, as long as the protagonist is well written and not like a Mary Sue, or not a, how should I put it, like a girl boss. It's fine to be, again, like confident, capable, that sort of stuff can be sexy, right? There's a difference between that, though, and just being like an asshole to everybody. In the same way, it's like, you don't normally like to see a male protagonist be an asshole to everyone either. The reason why is the tale as old as time. Whenever you guys view any sort of media, you want to empathize with the protagonist. And most people don't empathize with assholes. It just is what it is. So it's like, if you want to have a woman be somebody that's in power, in charge, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There is literally no issue. But how you do it does matter. In the same way as like how you would do it for a male also matters. Making modern strong women just women with toxic male attitudes. It really is, yeah. They almost never beat a man in a test of pure strength. Right. Yeah, and it's like, I'm not trying to say this to like put down women or anything like that, so much as there is a massive like storytelling problem in Hollywood, and it's brutally apparent at this point that it's like, whoever is writing these stories or whoever is telling the writers what to write, because I think everyone is so quick to be like, oh, it's the writers that are the problem. But it may not be the writers. It may be like literally the writers are just doing their job. And then instead, I forgot another T there, didn't I? Wait, is it? No, it's just one T. It looked weird the way I did it. It may not be that. It may be like the studio. Okay. So the studio may be sitting there going like, hey, no, we need this woman to be stronger. We need this woman to like take the spotlight here and stuff like that. And it's like, that's fine, but I think there's a point where like it begins to meddle too much, and like the writers can't even do a good job themselves because they're getting told what to write. I heard it's the people providing the funding. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's the angle of your eye. It is. It looked like a T. But yeah, that's what I've noticed over the years. It's like they're getting females wrong. And this is why I think there's such a disconnect with audiences, is because not even the women like it, I don't think. Like, I think a lot of women watch that and they just go like, oh, she's kind of a badass. And then they start looking at it and they kind of just like roll their eyes, because I don't think it's that believable even for them. I think there's definitely something about like, you know, a level of like fantasy and like having certain things be like that. Like, I think it's perfectly okay if it's like, oh, the character's a superhero, or the character wields a magic sword or something like that. Like, yeah, it's fine. You can suspend disbelief in that sort of situation. But you start to get these situations where the agenda overrides the actual narrative, and it becomes problematic because you keep backseating the protagonist, you keep emasculating the protagonist, and you keep trying to put him down. So the issue at play there is, instead of lifting the woman up, the only way they can seem to do it is by putting the man down. And it doesn't work, because the best case scenario here is not this. The best case scenario is bringing the woman up and making her look like a sexy badass, and also doing the same for the man. That is good storytelling right there. When both of your protagonists are sexy badasses. And it's the truth. You look at any story that you guys can look back on and think of fondly, this will almost always be true. If there's like a dual protagonist of like a male and female, they will both be badass in their own rights, rather than one trying to outshine the other and replace the other in terms of prominence. The second you start having that, the other character is not a protagonist anymore, they're a side character. Burn notice white collar leverage. Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with having a prominent female protagonist. I don't think there's any problem with her being a badass or her like kicking ass or anything like that. I prefer it when a show does that. It's just do it right. That's literally my only complaint. And that's why Devil May Cry sucks. Like it really does, because they sit there, they try to replace Dante. It's clear they don't understand it. Like whoever was in charge of Dante and like his overall like progression did a good job with what they could do, because it's hard. It was clear that they understood Dante at least, but that's it. Like it felt like only the person that understood Dante got anything right. Everything else was a clusterfuck. And that's also kind of why you don't notice it for the first 4 episodes, is because Dante is well done. And then the rest of the like macro things begin to take over. It's funnier when their intended audience now hates it because the director is a fan of Asmongold. I saw that. Let me just say this, okay? I understand everything nowadays is politicized. I understand people have a tendency to draw a line in the sand and be on a side. But dear God, people have got to chill out, right? Like, in the same way that, like, I don't like the show and I will tell everyone that the show is a piece of shit, I'm also not going to sit there and, like, go after the dude who did it, right? If he was allowed to do it, he was allowed to do it. There's no point crying over the spilled milk. Like, you can get upset about it. You can voice your opinion, but I don't see any point in going after anybody responsible for the show, because if enough people are upset about it, you won't get a second season. You won't get a third season. You won't get a fourth season. The show will fail. It will literally fade into obscurity if it's truly bad. However, if people continue to hate watch it, it is what it is. Which I did hear the show has already been confirmed for season 2, but that's also one of those deals where it probably just had to hit like a certain metric for Netflix. But I think they'll see, just like with Rings of Power, it's like, yeah, how many people watched the Devil May Cry series is probably really high. But how many people actually liked it is also probably really low. So it's like, oh, but we have a ton of watch hours, so let's do a season 2. It's like, you can do that based off of your watch for season 1. However, guarantee you won't get half the numbers you did for season 2. Why? Because so many people will remember how season 1 was. And they'll just go, oh, it's season 2. Nah, it was shit. I'm not watching it. So it is what it is. Same thing happened with Rings of Power. They renewed it for multiple seasons, and its metrics were terrible because of that. Like, people started to watch the second season hoping it had gotten fixed, and it hadn't. And so people stopped watching the second season. The I'm out phenomenon. Yep. And it happens. It absolutely is a thing. Glad Netflix hasn't gotten their hands on Bayonetta yet. I did see somebody on Twitter going, like, hey, what's his name? Adi Shakar or whatever. They're like, hey, Adi Shakar, have you heard of the Hoyoverse? I was like, oh, God. See, the thing is, you can't do that to a gacha game, because if you try to do it to a gacha game, the gacha community will just sit there and they'll laugh. And they'll be like, that's so bad, we're going to make memes out of it. Like, they won't care. Yeah, true. The like Chinese people running MiHoYo and stuff will probably care, but like the overall community will just laugh at how bad it is. Wait, what? It's not what I... There we go. Man, do I want the bells or do I want the divine ley lines? I think like 22 of these. Yoink. I got 330. Yoink. Yoink, 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 yoink. I need to like check to see what else I got in terms of like missions here. Because I gotta do some spring cleaning here before this. By the way, chat, they confirmed the live stream date's the 23rd, so next week, okay? That means the Lotto's on the 24th. That is exactly as predicted. Exactly as we thought they would do. There's nothing out of the ordinary here. If they actually made that to a gacha fandom, would burn the internet to the ground? I don't think they would. I think a gacha fandom would bitch and moan about how shit it is and then make fun of it and meme it to all hell. Like, there would be a phase where, yes, they would be very upset, but... Zuko, thank you for the 59 months. Appreciate it. Welcome back. Yes. The director for DMC is also the guy who kept trying to get Apu rewritten in The Simpsons because he found him an offensive stereotype. He's Indian. Yeah, I feel like I heard about that because I saw somebody meme the other day that it's like, oh, ever since Apu got removed from The Simpsons, the internet has been a worse place. And I'm like, I mean, you could literally pick any point in time and then say, since then, the internet has been a worse place. The internet gets worse every day. So it's like, I don't know what you thought. Well, to start same time as my vacation. Nice. Yes, you should get Evocation Fest soon. It all started with Harambe. See? Chat understands. The world has been a worse place since Harambe died. True. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. OC4 is in 2 weeks. Yeah, so there was obviously we got the announcement. Okay, so I don't even think I have the missions anymore. I think I did them anyways, so it's fine. But there was an announcement for the title for Ordeal Call 4. So a lot of people speculating a lot about that, and I'm like, honestly, it's not super surprising to me. However, I think what is interesting about it is that there is a possibility that you could have that actually be the end of Ordeal Call. Which would be intriguing. So that would imply maybe not a Solomon Temple of Time type ending. Which I'm going to say is like, maybe they're okay with that since it's the end of Ordeal Call. But to me, since it's going to be the end of all of part 2, that would be wild to end part 2 without a like capstone, given how long it has been. Yeah, that's so Twitter's running with that, Galactic, but it's not. They proved that that's not the case. Like, basically, it's a bunch of misinfo on Twitter.
and Reddit at this point. Like it did get hacked, but they're not all like, it's not a government op or anything like that. And chat, that should be pretty freaking apparent given like literally how 4chan acted throughout some of the prior elections. Just saying. It is most certainly not government controlled. Because if anything, 4chan's very anti-government. What is the plan? Yeah, I've thought about that, JC. It's like, it could be, hey, maybe they do just wrap things up here, celebrate the 10th Annie, and then start talking about the future. If that's how they decide to do it, I'm okay with it, honestly. Like, as much as I love FGO's story, I have story fatigue. And not because, like, I don't like the story, but because the story is the story that seemingly never ends. I want you guys to imagine, like, reading Lord of the Rings, and you are somewhere in the Two Towers. You're in the second book, and it just doesn't end. And it's like, it's good, but you're just like, after a while, after like, 5,000 pages of it, you're sitting there and you're going like, when the fuck is this gonna end? Like, when is it gonna, like, when are we finally gonna get some answers? When are things gonna get resolved? When is, like, this conflict going to kind of come to a conclusion? That's the issue that I have with it at this point. It is a way too dragged out story for what it needed to be, right? It's not bad. I'm not saying anything like that. Just that it's time for at least part 2 to end so that we can move on and have a part 3. Protocol 3 was hella filler. I think it now in retrospect, it kind of clearly was, right? Like, so you can tell Nasu wasn't necessarily like lying when he told people that it wasn't originally planned. I think that just was the case. It was not part of his original intentions, but he realized that, like, hey, it's probably a good idea to do this. And I still think, chat, to some degree, Nasu has been stalling on purpose to get some of his other stuff done. Probably stuff related to, like, Tsukihime, some of his other projects. I don't know. But I get the feeling that's why he's stalled FGO for as long as he has. Because I don't think there's, like, anything really stopping the writers, at least, from moving faster how they used to. I think at the end of the day, it's they're stretching it out on purpose. They're trying to buy themselves more time. And that could be because, maybe they don't have the staff on the developer side of things, or it could be other things. Well, he's dead. Hey, chat. I told you it was a terrible 3-turn, but it's a 3-turn. Ooh, a drop. Better than 5.5 years for LB. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the issue that we have at this point. Also, chat, for those of you guys that didn't see, I did put out the challenge, the JP challenge quest video. I know it's late. I'm sorry. This is what it is. It's like I needed to get it out. It was a video that was sitting there, and I was like, I got it out today. But again, today wasn't too bad for me. Like I said, I was basically kind of done until like the latter half of the day, and then people started like kind of making a big stink about stuff and forcing me to work on crap with them. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. God, serpent jewels. No, I still am not done with them. There's so much gold needed in this event, it's wild to me. Actually wild to me. Gonna grab the coins. It was hell. It was. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and keep refreshing for the MLB gold, because that's literally the only thing I need at this point. At least we have like a whole week to do this, so it's like I'm not in danger of not completing it, just that like I am already tired of just sitting on this one node. They basically just upped the amount of rewards in the JP event, so there's way too much. Yeah. I think anybody rolled, everybody had a banner not too long ago. I mean, it's a rerun, right? I don't expect people to really roll here. This is probably just people that all had it from before. And then EvoFest 13. Yeah, it's wild to me that JP has done as many evocation festivals as they have. Mac, no. No. There's probably a reason. Okay. Yeah, Scritoria's backline bonding. I don't normally do that. I'm trying to prep her for the grand system. Everything else here is fine. Using a rash seal in this node? Oh yeah, you definitely can. Seal's another one. It's kind of like Zerctoria, where it's like I've used her so much, she's already so bonded that I actually don't want to use her if possible. This, I'm gonna laugh if this happens. I have not had a turn 2 failure to kill yet in this node, but it's absolutely possible to happen here. And I won't be surprised if it does, since I got 2 of Jarcher's cards turn 1. Any thoughts about JP not getting a collab this year? You had an unprecedented number of collabs in the prior year. The year is still young. We are literally, I think we just passed the 1/3 point of time through the year. So like, we got 2/3 of the year left. I won't be surprised that they use something in the fall to bridge the gap and cover time anyways. So. Oh, no, we actually got... it's not ideal, but we'll go with it. As long as I get that Buster crit, I should be okay. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Can't believe I bond 10 to unit in a week. Oh, yeah. Especially now with things like teapots. Evocation Festival is one of the best things they've ever done for the game, in terms of it really does just make it so that like new players can absolutely easily get into the game, as opposed to before it would have been quite difficult. So this will probably 4-turn, chat. It gives an FGO in other games as it was. Yeah, dude, getting new devices really helps things. Still want a Fate Stay Night collab? You kind of have had one, but yeah, not a proper one. Who knows? Maybe you get one for the 20th, Annie. How viable would you say Saber Stolfo is as a quick single target saber? He's pretty viable. Like, it's... I think my biggest complaint with Saber Stolfo is that he is a singular buster card, but one of his skills is almost like... It's not anymore because they gave it a buff, but it's like it used to be predominantly like centered on that one card. And it was really stupid that they did it that way. Now, though, I mean, I'm not going to say he's Okita. I don't think he has the same card performance as her, but he's got pretty similar NP damage numbers, and he's still got a fairly good kit. So, yeah, Fate Stay Nice. What? I was like, what do you mean we're not even at 10th? Huh? I think once their deal call 4 is over, anytime from Annie to New Year's, they could drop the finale. I will tell you that my bet would be on December. It's just how they've always operated. I know, like, hey, you know, don't look at patterns. They break them all the time. And you're right, chat, they could. However, this is one of those things that there's only ever been one deviation in the pattern. And that deviation was caused by the delay of LB7. Otherwise, that pattern is undeviated from across all their years. So I suspect that's just it's not so much a pattern as it is, it's a Nasu quirk that he really wants to do the new story with the turn of the new year. And so that's where it's like, yeah, I expect that December will be when you get a proper finale, and that from that point on, they end up doing basically the part 3 story in January, or at least the prologue to it. Is teapotting outside or deal called nodes recommended? No. But why are you doing it, cat? Because I'm lazy. Steam had Metro 2023 Redux for free today? Did it? Oh yeah, it is.
Rated M for mature.
5-finger discount, chat. Was this the first game? I think this is the first game.
Product mature.
Did I not have this? I could have sworn I owned this. I don't know. I literally added it to my account. It's free, so there's no harm in it. Yeah. It's like, it costs nothing, so do it. Thank you for looking out, chat. I feel like I'll get super confused. I keep watching your OC video, but I'm still kind of nervous. Don't be. I think, honestly, the most difficult part of the like bleached earth nodes is that there's some really high health values in them. But it's easy. Is there anything in particular that you're not understanding? Wait, what are you talking about for quarters, Galactic? Oh, you're talking about like how I was talking about the story pacing? No, I think that's a Nasu pet peeve. I really think it is. I think he wants the story at the turn of the year. Kind of just for the symbology of it. Because again, that's Nasu in a nutshell. I'll try that, but I doubt that kills. Hey, part 3 is coming in the future, but not do anything for it right after. I don't know. I think talking about what everyone's ideal, see, I told you, chat. Talking about what everyone's ideal, like, part 3 would look like, you would get, like, if I asked chat right now, I'd get 157 different answers. technically more with YouTube. So, I think what people want, what people hope, what people expect will be very different things. And I'm going to tell everyone to like tone down expectations. Expect nothing. I think this is probably both the worst thing I can say to you, but also maybe the most calming thing I can say to you. Nice, Cody. I think y'all need to accept the fact that it is likely that FGO continues as it has. And I really mean that. Like, so part 3 is just a logical continuation of part 2, both narratively and gameplay wise. That's what chat needs to prepare for. And if it's not because they change stuff, good, right? But I think everybody needs to prepare themselves for this. That don't get your hopes up. Don't expect this thing to turn into a chimera and completely change its scales. Expect FGO to stay FGO. And just pray to God that somewhere in there, the devs have had the foresight and the time and the funding to do more. Okay? But I think this is the idea, is that you need to just assume that part 3 is the same as part 2. Both to not get your hopes up and just to prepare yourself for what is probably the likely eventuality. Yeah, I'll say this. Not to get doomer or anything like that, but if part 3 is just more of the same and the developers don't do anything, I think it's bad for the game. And chat, feel free to throw that back at me, like in a year from now, if I'm still playing and the game is still the exact same and everything's still fine and I haven't died from, the next onset of super COVID. So it's like, assuming everything proceeds as is, feel free to throw it back at me and be like, Cad, you said this was a bad thing. The reason why is because basically the game is not getting younger. And that doesn't have to be a problem. Just because a game is getting older is not a bad thing. However, with anything, as time goes on with brands, things need to change. There needs to be something new, because if there is not, there is nothing new to attract new people into the brand. You can look at Tsukihime, for instance, and look at how angry Tsukihime fans were for years that they never really got the time of day. There's a reason why. They watched Fate pop off. They watched how popular it became, and they were basically sitting there going, that should have been me. It was equal parts jealousy, but also just them wanting their favorite thing to be better and to get more attention. And it's going to be the same thing here with something like FGO, where if they just try to continue on with part 3 not changing anything, FGO won't have anything new or shiny to attract people to it outside of what it already is and does. And so therefore, a part 3 will not be some huge metamorphic event that ends up galvanizing the community and changing it for the better. It will instead end up just being more of the same. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with being more of the same. If you like FGO now, that's perfectly fine. You'll continue to enjoy it, I suppose, right? But if they don't do anything new, they're not going to attract new lifeblood. They're not going to get new bodies to play the game. And they basically won't be able to replace the attrition. Because I can tell you guys this, I'm not planning on quitting the game anytime soon. Even with a part 3. If part 3 is more of the same, I'll be happy to continue playing it. However, I am sure there is a contingent of people that if part 3 doesn't do something new, they're probably done. They're probably good. They're going to say, that was enough. And it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to stop that. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, I'm not trying to be doomer here. This is probably just how things will go if that happens. However, I will say this. While you guys should prepare for nothing to happen, I am reasonably positive that the developers have been planning it. They've been working on it. They have an idea of what they want to do. So the question will be not that they won't change it, but rather how much. And will it be enough to excite the community and keep people engaged? That will be the big question. I like it enough, but if it's the same, I'm probably just going to go free to play. And I think a lot of people would, right? I think a lot of people would say, hey, look, I really like the game, but I've spent a ton of money on it over the years. You're not doing anything different. So why should I start giving more money, right? Now, that's an easy thing to say. That's a harder thing to do. And the reason I say this is because all it takes is for the developer to go, you're right, go free to play. Oh, what's this? Oh God, this is a really hot character. Did you want this? Gimme. And then you go like, okay, Cad, but I've been saving. I've been free to play. And then the developer goes, hey, remember that other hot character? Here's another one. Did you want this too? Oh, damn. Now you got to actually pull out the wallet if you want both. So they'll do it. They'll find a way. But yeah, it's like, I'm optimistic that they change something. I'm not expecting a total overhaul for a couple of reasons. I think that, one, it's way too much work. Two, it is probably expecting too much out of the devs. And three, is it would probably be a betrayal of what FGO has been if they do that. So the way to think about this is, chat, I've seen some wild things over the years from what people would want FGO to turn into. You can do stuff like that, but at that point, they may as well do an FGO 2. Because if they're going to completely change what the game is, there's no point in continuing FGO. If that makes any sense. So it's like, I don't see the devs doing that simply because they have already stated what their design philosophy is in the game. And while that philosophy can change, I think that's one of those core things where if they change it, there would be turmoil and they know it. And so they won't change it. Haven't been feeling it lately, IMO inside from Summers. I think that sort of thing's always in the eye of the beholder. I have my own gripes with some of the character designs, but I don't think they do a bad job. Where it completely revamps the game. Right. And it's easy to say that. And I think like even I have myself said stuff like that. I don't think they will though. I don't think you're going to get a complete revamp of the game. I just don't think you will. And I think when we start to assume that they will, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Right? Just wanted to make a PC port of FG Arcade. That I doubt they do either. I know nobody likes to hear that, but I've explained that one before too. They might upgrade some of the engine. The engine itself is not the issue. Unity is a very strong engine. In fact, again, I think like chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the MiHoYo titles run on Unity as well? So it's not an engine issue. It's probably just like coding and GUI and stuff like that. So, hello, Dirty. Wait, is this Barbie literally again? Yeah, revamping the UI, I think, is like, that's a much more like reasonable thing. We'll see if they do it. Here's the thing I'm going to tell you guys. When I say it's a reasonable thing, I mean, is it possible for the devs to revamp the UI headed into part 3? Yes. Does that mean that you should expect it? No. Because I say it's reasonable, don't expect it. If he finishes part 2, he may collab with other IPs. He did. I'm gonna be real with you. I wouldn't quit immediately if they started to do collabs with other IPs, but I would begin to consider it. And the reason why would be I cannot, like, let me just be honest with you guys. I think these devs are really smart. I think they're really capable. However, if there's one area that they struggle, it's balance. And if you already struggled to balance your own fan fiction, I cannot fathom you balancing like Goku, Kirito, literally like Dark Souls characters. I'm sorry, I don't see it. They're either going to be like hot garbage or the most OP broken thing ever. So I don't think that would be a good thing if they went that route. We would really have to look at what they wanted to do. I'll give you guys an example. If they do like skins, like cosmetics, where it's like, oh, you can now make this character look like this character. Is it immersion breaking? Yes. Is it stupid? Yes. Would it break the game for me? No. So it's like, depending on how they wanted to do it, I'd be okay with it. If they did it in the wrong way, though, I would really begin to question why I'm playing the game. And I think that's something that they know, and I think that's something that they would like at least take strong consideration in. Because Nasu and Takeichi will be distracted playing it. Maybe, right? I got a gut feeling that Ordeal Call 4 is going to introduce some Omega power creep. I mean, I got a gut feeling that it's not going to be Ordeal Call 4. It's going to be the thing that comes after Ordeal Call 4. Monster Hunter armor on Artoria, right? If she was balanced isn't bad. In fact, they handle it really well. I think they handle it for the most part okay. However, I can't really call it good given the state that it's in. So, as somebody that's been playing the game a long time, FGO used to be a lot more balanced. I mean, Metatron? Yeah, I'm aware, Strom. But what if I told you Zeus? He was in a story. Was he summonable? Nope. New break bar type of system. They do need to do that. They actually need to come back in and do something to shake up the actual overall like game state. At least in terms of like you can still keep your turn-based combat, yada yada yada, right? Like I'm not saying change how the game works so much as I am they need to add another level to combat somehow. Some way that they can mix things up to make things not the same as always. Megatron. I mean, listen, JC. No offense, but likening literally anything to a game that is named, quote, AFK Arena is not a good example. Just saying. They put about as much thought into that name as they probably did into the balance of the game. Because what is that game about? Money. And I'm not saying like all these gacha games aren't. They are. Just that like it's the same sort of idea. It's like, oh, well, let's look at like FGO. Did they put some thought into the gameplay? Yes. Did they put some thought into the character design? Yes. They put some thought into the story? Yes. Some of those other games, I feel like it is money first. It is always money, and money will always be the reason for everything. And if it's ever in doubt, the answer is money. And that's why. So I don't feel like that's the case with FGO, at least. Make a great point with the balancing. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that. At least if like I'm not going to immediately say like, oh, if they collab with an outside IP, I'm done. I think I have said that before, but I'm thinking about it more like thoroughly. It's like it's not an immediate non-starter. However, it really depends on how they want to handle it. I'm going to pop that, and I'm going to pray to God that this kills, because I don't think it's going to. Orange, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it, my dude. Thank you for the 62. The Power Girl art in Discord for the stream announcement called to me. Indeed. Subscribe for more Power Girl art. And somehow I didn't see it earlier, I don't think, but Zelfer, thank you for the 51. You don't have to have the unit. It's such a weird state. Because I think at this point, we're at a point where we can say that FGO, at least, and I'm talking JP here, okay? So I'm not talking NA, really. But JP's balance state is really weird. Like, chat, look at this shit, right? Like, you've got a 1 million health thing here. Now, you do have damage bonus, you have a damage C, yada, yada, yada. I am looping over this single core. As I've told you guys many times before, this is actually how I do most of them. Doesn't mean I don't use, again, like, multiple damage dealer setups. It's a thing. Okay? But I've definitely noticed the balance state on JP is weird now. Because you have to rewind to pre-Oberon to view balance in the game anymore. What do I mean? Pre-Oberon, you had 90 plus nodes. What was a 90 plus node? Anything. Anything they wanted it to be. It was just harder than a 90 node. That's it. That's all it was. Post Oberon, you have 90 plus nodes to go alongside the 90 plus nodes to go alongside the 90 plus. You also have 90 star nodes and then 90 star nodes. And now there's even been at least one occurrence of a 90 star node. Yes, it's stupid. I wonder if we're going to head towards 5 stars at some point. On top of that, we have Bleached Earth quests. We have class-specific mechanics. And I start to look at this and I start to go what are you doing? Because here, we had an environment where you maybe needed MP1 and P2. Oberon comes into the game, you only need MP1. Here, things start getting fucky. You start needing multiple specific units, multiple MP levels. And we start seeing differences in efficiency across the board that maybe make us question what it is that we need to run and why. Now, thankfully, events are still stuck to the 90 plus plus and 90 plus structure. So everything to the right here doesn't apply to events, but they are content options within the game. So when I start to look at this, it makes it difficult for me to tell you guys what to do. Why? Well, yeah. How much money would you like to spend on FGO? Would you like to spend none? Would you like to spend some? Would you like to spend a lot? So the reason why I say that is because that is the weird sort of scaling that's going on at this point. The more money you spend, the way more you go into this category. I'm not going to say that you can't do some of this free to play. You can. But you're also going to struggle to do some of it. You either won't 3-turn it, or who knows? Maybe you just won't be able to do certain nodes because your account isn't kitted out. So, how much do you have to do these things is a big question. And it's weird. And I look at that and I go, you don't. You don't have to do it. It's optional. But it is the absolute kryptonite of a video gamer. Chat, if I put a challenge in front of a gamer, that gamer will try to beat that challenge. And that's exactly what that mentality is right there. They know by putting a higher rarity node in front of you, even if it doesn't actually give you more, players will seek to do it if for no other reason than the EP of it. And you can actually see this in other games. An example I can give you guys is if you go do a Girls Frontline 2 event. There are usually multiple tiers of a node. Despite the fact that there are multiple tiers, the nodes will all give the same resources. So why is there any reason to have multiple tiers? Well, it gives players something to do. It gives them some sort of reason to push their account further. It gives them a goal. So I can advise you guys to be able to do all of that content. But it's not required. And this is exactly why I've tried to tell you guys. We're actually going to get a major litmus test right here in 2 weeks on NA. Chat. Well, I say 2 weeks. It's more like a week now. But in like 9 days, y'all have a Lotto on NA. Which node are you doing, by the way? Y'all gonna do 90 plus plus or 90 plus? So now I have another question for you guys. Because this is going to tell me how many of you all actually watched the video. Which of these two nodes is more efficient? What does it depend on, Lul? Time, drops, materials, yeah. There's a lot of things. So that's the issue. For the first time, we have a conclusive answer, and it just purely depends entirely on your circumstances. Chat, if you can 6-slot the 90 plus, it is the best. Hold on, let me put an asterisk right there. If you can't 6-slot the 90 plus plus, the 90 plus 6-slot is the best. Far and away. It just immediately wins. So why did I put an asterisk up here? How good's your account, chat? How many apples you have? What's your goal? If you have infinite time and infinite refills, which is better, chat? Can anyone answer that question? Okay, so why are you guys saying 90 plus? Yeah, ours actually has the only technically correct answer out of you guys. So I'm baiting you all. You're not wrong to think that the 90 plus is better because it's faster. The question is it faster? This is why I asked you guys, how good's your account? If you have something that can actually 6-slot the plus plus node, and it doesn't require some of the comps that we used on the spreadsheet where it's like, oh, you got to do a like Castoria NP before. You got to do 2 Castoria NPs. You got to do a Castoria NP into a Santa Martha NP into the damage dealers NP. If it's that is absolutely slower, no matter what. But if you have a good enough account that you could somehow manage to like 6-slot it and not have to do extra bells and whistles, yeah, that's going to win. But if you don't, 90 plus will win clear as day just because it's going to absolutely beat the pants off of it for time. Assuming you have infinite resources. That is, say you're not caring too much about the refills. Your goal is to just farm as many boxes as fast as you can. The 90 plus 6 slot will just be faster. So this is a really weird scenario that we find ourselves in. And it's why I can't just point to a node and say it's the best, it's better, is because it all comes down to your account. That is not any different than any prior Lotto. That has always been the case. However, there are certain circumstances where the 90 plus plus is just better. We're now for a weird one in a scenario where for the majority of players, the 90 plus is better across all 3 rounds. It will depend on certain things, though. It'll depend on how robust your account is, how many refills you want to use, what materials you wish to grind. That's really going to be the deciding factors for everyone, which is good to me. Puts the decision in the player's hands. But this is the weird issue. Oh, whoops. There we go. I started popping stuff and I was like, wait a minute, chat can't see. I don't think I'll ever have an account strong enough to 6 slot a 90 plus plus. It's not as difficult as you think, but this one's a little interesting with what they did with some of the nodes. But so you start to look at that and you start to think about it and you start to go like, man, do I actually have to do this? And the answer is no, you don't. Like, chat, is it more efficient? Maybe. But did you actually have to do the 90 plus plus? Like, maybe you do it the one time for completion's sake, and that is what that is. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But this is where I have to point something out to you guys. The whale that can 6 slot and do it super efficiently versus the free to play that can 6 slot the 90 plus. The difference in their farming power, it's not worth. It's really not worth. Like, the amount of money spent to get here. That's why I keep trying to tell you guys and keep trying to teach you this lesson that, like, there is no shame in doing a lesser node. There is no problem with it. You might be ever so slightly less efficient. It's not the end of the world. You'll still accomplish all of your goals in the game. And you don't need to go that crazy. And the reason I tell you guys that is I want to take the pressure off of you guys. I don't want you to feel like you have to... What's the word I'm looking for? Like you have to spend money on this game. You don't. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you want to spend money on FGO, do it via the GSSRs. That is the best bang for your buck by far. Always has been, always will be. Unless they add something more ludicrous than a GSSR. Might finally be able to finish 999ing everyone. Go for it. That's Destiny Summon? Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Destiny Summon's an even more, like, specified. However, it is more expensive, so... They know they have you. What? Don't judge me. I'm a Star Wars fan. I mean, that's actually more of what you could judge me on. What's the name of the previous song? No idea. Ooh. Oh, nice. Good CE. Technically worth, but I don't actually know how many copies I have of it on JP. No Black Grail, no Black Grail. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Mommy. Mommy? I mean, mommy? I mean, mommy? Yep, nothing else to roll on today. I plan which units I'm going to summon for ahead of time. Like my final target for this year is Zerktoria. I've still got Ask. She'll be NP5, hopefully. Then I have Zerktoria. She'll be NP5. I will certainly roll for a couple other units. Like I'm gonna roll the second summer banner. I'll probably roll for Kenshin. I don't know what else though. Like I've already told you guys, I'm not sure that I'm gonna roll something like Durga. Maybe Medusa Saber. He's still on the list, but by the way, is Beast Kagal good? Haven't heard anything about her. No, she's terrible. Why would you ever want her? Ew. What's wrong with you? No, I'm just kidding. She's fine. She's really good. Which I'm okay, chat. Hold on. I have a point to make. How many here really like Beast Airish? Now, of you guys that like her, how many of you think it's a problem that Draco has a weakness against extra classes? The reason I'm pointing this out is because it would be hypocritical. Well, yes, Beast Airish's niche is the extra classes. Not everything in the game is an extra class. And so you can't use that holding it against Draco, but then lauding it for Beast Airish, because they're just two sides of the same coin. That's why you get both. Yeah, I mean, to a degree, right? Get both, who cares? Except Avengers, true. Except Avengers. But you can get Seal to patch that up. I mean, sure. I have both. Yeah. That's the only reason why I'm pointing that out is because people have some weird takes on Draco, and I've noticed that. But people be hella hypocritical when it comes to Ereshkigal. Is what it is. Because in theory, Erish has an even like worse weakness, and no one cares. It's almost like there's maybe an agenda going on. Just saying. I think Draco's fantastic. I don't get why people rip on her. Yeah, I agree. And it's like, that's the whole reason why I bring it up, chat. I know it's me beating a dead horse, but I really want to hammer that and drive that home for you guys so that you guys understand. It's like, Draco's still a fantastic unit. The amount of damage Draco does is fucking disgusting. Okay? So it's like, I've seen people sit there and try to like hold that against her and be like, oh, but she doesn't work against extra classes. It doesn't matter, chat. There are plenty of opportunities to use her still. People try to make too big of a deal out of it. You can see there's times even in chat where like I don't use her and people are like, Cad, why didn't you use your Draco? And I'm like, shit, you're right. It's like, it's more for anything. It's more for me trying not to be like a one-trick pony. That's really all it is. If they complain, then no more end faces. Yes. Rolling for MP5 Zerctoria, Ruler Mel, and Kenshin. Yeah, I mean, you know, I could point out and be like, Bo, but you have Zerctoria, you don't need Kenshin. No one cares. You're going to get it because you like the units. And that's really the crux of it. I still think the Draco bashers are trying to convince themselves they're correct to skip her for Zerctoria. Probably. I think this happens, and I've noticed it. It's like usually when this happens, it happens whenever we have a... what's the word? Like a dichotomy, right? Where you have Unit 1 and Unit 2. And there's strong overlap. If you were to look at like a Venn diagram of the two, they cover... Well, actually, that's not it, right? So let's say Unit 1, Unit 2. And you were to look... No, that's still not right. It's so difficult because I got to draw the lines through it. Oh, okay. I did it backwards now. You would literally have to like do something like this, okay? Where it's like their spheres just overlap a ton. And so there's a ton of this area that everyone goes like, oh, but I only need one. I don't need both. So that's where this happens. It happens every time, every year. We always end up in a scenario like this. And there's always people that want one and not the other, and they try to convince themselves. I think the only reason that I've noticed it differently with Draco is because the messaging hasn't been that both are good, but I prefer. And I say that, like, some of you guys have said this in chat. Okay, so I'm not calling you out. I'm talking about in the greater community as a whole. This has not been the messaging. The messaging has instead been Draco has problems. And Zerctoria is too good. Both these statements are wrong. Both. Okay? So like what do I mean when I say both these statements? I mean these bottom two. Both these bottom two statements are incorrect. This is fine. This is A-okay. This is preference. This is slander. And this is like pretending like a unit is perfect. And chat, as somebody that's used Zerctoria profusely, she's great. She's really strong. She also absolutely has some issues. It is what it is. Is she too good? Well, I think that subject's up for debate, but I don't think it's right. I think we have a game that hard balances stuff like that. I think the issue at play is she too good maybe when you compare her to like her other Berserker counterparts? And then the answer is probably yes. But doesn't mean that she's like broken as hell and like that there aren't other units that can challenge her. And Draco is one of those units that can challenge her. So it's like I said, this is why I bring this up. It's to help correct some of this like weird ass mentality that keeps getting purported. You think Draco would be better Buster than Arts? No. Fun to have a preference and not wanting both. Yeah, exactly. And the reason that I point this out is because people have a tendency to like, if they don't like chat was saying before, it's like they're trying to convince themselves that they're skipping. It's like there's nothing wrong with skipping. However, if you want to skip, just skip. Don't try to like come up with like some weird answer that requires you to sit there and like call another unit bad. Right? Like, I'm gonna be real with y'all, chat. Most of the people that were like, oh, Lartoria is like the worst SSR out there, I know they just haven't used her. I'm sorry, it's the truth. I know it. Because looking at Lartoria's damage and judging her based off of that is quite literally like one of the biggest things that everybody in the community keeps harping on over time. Is like, why is everyone obsessed with damage? It's like, well, you don't get to when you just literally reduce everything to a damage argument. It's like Lartoria is a really capable unit in the right hands, but you got to know how to use her. You got to understand her. And did she suffer in damage? Yeah, she did. But it's also how I know if you're going to sit there and be like, oh, it's the worst SSR. I'm like the worst SSRs are usually the ones that struggle to find a use, to be usable. That's usually your like number one metric. Draco didn't want to come home. Yeah, no, listen. Like preferring one over the other, I don't care. Y'all have your reasons, right? It is what it is. The idea behind it is, though, that when you sit there and you say, instead of I don't want this unit, instead you start to say this unit is bad, is it basically is you trying to justify your actions by shitting on other units. And chat, I'm going to be honest with you. Other people might believe you. I won't. People that are more knowledgeable on the game, when they read you say stuff like that, just think you're stupid. And I'm not like saying you, Omar, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, when you sit there and go like, I didn't go for this unit because they're a bad unit. Literally, like, someone like me will sit there and read that and go like, bad master. That's exactly what I think. I just go like, that person doesn't know how to use the unit. It is what it is. They can't figure out how to use the unit effectively, right? It doesn't mean that there aren't units that don't need help. It doesn't mean that there aren't units that aren't in good situations. But I've noticed that the like dominant trend is when people start shitting on units constantly, it's usually that. That's just what their mentality is. It's the if you're not first, you're last. You know, having Oberon did hinder my farming a bit. Since my account is seasoned, I was able to make do. I couldn't afford Oberon at the time. Yeah, and see, that's literally what I tried to tell people, and I still remember people getting angry at me over that. Like, it's like, you don't have to have Oberon, but if you have Oberon, your life will just be made way easier, and you're going to struggle without him. And, like, people were like, no, Cad, don't say that. I've been just fine without Oberon. And I'm like, well, define fine, right? Like, did you have to have him? No. Could you do it without him? Yes. Was it a struggle? Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some times where it gets a little bit spicy. My question is to the devs, is why they released 3 OP single target arts units in the same year. Who knows? I mean, chat, you want the other dichotomy for this year? Cad, who should I roll? Cuckoo or Tiamat? There's your other one. And chat will have various opinions on this one. And it's really funny because I think most of chat probably leans this way. I actually lean this way. But I lean this way for different reasons. Probably. I lean that way for reasons that most of chat either wouldn't agree with or wouldn't find the same usefulness out of. So it is what it is. Why not both? I mean, I did. So it is what it is, right? Like, you rolled Cuckoo because she's hot as fuck. Yeah, I mean, that definitely didn't hurt, right? But I look beyond just the hotness of a character when I decide to roll. Like, for instance, chat, oh shit, when? Wait, chat, when do we get Andromeda? Is that next year or is that this year? That's this year, isn't it? Is it next year? VNA next year. Okay, yeah. God, I could not remember. Yeah, like, so, will I roll Andromeda? Hell yeah. Andromeda's hot. Will I roll Andromeda NP5? Hell no. I'm gonna get that token copy. That's it. Like, maybe NP2? I don't know. Probably not. I've enjoyed using her on support list on JP. Yeah, she's not a bad unit. She's just a unit. Like, and that's the truth of the matter, right? I think, unfortunately, for better or worse, I think a lot of our quick units are kind of relegated to they're just a unit for right now. It doesn't mean that they're bad. They're well positioned if quick gets quote unquote stronger. But I don't know. I just did 90 plus plus with my NP5 Gil. There you go. On JP or NA? I think one of the best quick units right now is Lohi. Yeah, and I don't even have her. Like, is what it is. And don't get me wrong, chat. I could have absolutely run Lohi. However, I basically looked at it and was like, it's not a good time of the year. Still not really sure what's in store for Quick in the future. My other alternatives on JP are much more robust. So, like, for me to have invested in Lohi, I would have really had to be like, oh, okay, I'm probably going to need to go deep on this. And I just didn't feel like doing it at the time. So it's like, with time, maybe I'll decide to. Maybe I'll decide to invest in that. Don't have to right now. Patience is really a like counter to anything in FGO. This is, again, to come back a little bit full circle to this chat. This is one of the reasons why I tell you guys not to sit there and get too upset about certain nodes. I've had people ask me before, like, hey, Cad, do you think blank can do blank? Because if they can, I'll grail this unit. And I'll literally go, no. Don't grail for gameplay. There's no reason. Like don't be like, hey, I'm gonna grail just to get through this one node. It's never worth it, ever. Like, just grail a unit you want to grail. And if you want to grail that unit, that's fine. But like, just grail the unit because you wanted to grail them. Don't do it because like a node was putting psychological pressure on you. Like, who gives a crap? Just do the lesser rarity. There's no problem with that. Liking hard challenge support. I think Quick just has a lot of like unconventional support. Like, so it's not true support. What you see with a lot of Quick units is, especially if they're like challenge oriented, is they're like hybrid. They're really like weird. They're like pseudo offensive damage dealers themselves, pseudo party buffers. And so you see a lot of that stuff, and like, there's nothing wrong with it to any degree, but it makes it difficult to form a traditional composition. And the power of a traditional composition is usually that you have staying power should a fight not go according to plan. So this is in a weird way why you'll see Quick be used all the time in like min turning and stuff like that, and is really strong for that sort of thing. But if you don't min turn and you try to do a traditional CQ and just kind of like deal with it, Quick just kind of falls off a cliff immediately. It's like, it's kind of, Quick is a, if you're not first, you're last card type. It's really weird. It doesn't mean you can't like go through and do something that's longer and more drawn out with Quick. However, it is usually more fraught with problems and consistency issues. So it's like, you can get through it, but not as quickly or as safely as you could with like Buster Arts. Biggest issue will be who will become my Grand Archer. No one stands out to me. It's tough to advise and stuff like that because, like, as of right now, we just don't know much about the Grand system. We'll probably find that out really quickly here, because again, like, JP is chat. This is also pretty much confirmed. We're getting it like on the 30th for Ordeal Call 4. So like, we already know the live streams on the 30th. It's very likely that it's coming out the same day. So. I think when you look at that and you start to think about like the Grand system, if they make the Grand system something essential, you definitely are going to need to pick someone. If they don't, then if you're not sure of who you want to put in there, don't put anyone. The thing is, too, we also don't know, will there be like a mechanism to switch who your Grand is? Because that will make it more difficult. If that makes any sense. Quick units usually have a stack kit to make up for the support deficiency. I disagree. I think like some quick units do. Not all of them do. And I think that's the problem. I think it's like 50-50. Half of them do, half of them don't. And that's probably my biggest issue with Quick, because I see a lot of people try to defend Quick as its unit-based solutions rather than like support pillars. And I'm like, that's great for the units that have a really strong kit. It's terrible for the units that don't. Like, if you're a Quick unit and you're in need of a buff, oh boy, are you hurting. Like, that's the problem with it. So it's like, I've seen people say it's like, that's how Quick's supposed to work. And I'm like, I don't think it does. I think that is literally the issue with Quick. I think that's why Quick is dysfunctional, is because I do, like I understand the spirit of what people are saying. And I think that's what the devs were trying to do. But I think this is why the community feels like Quick doesn't perform well. What the devs are trying to do and what the community wants the devs to do are two different directions on Quick. And I think it's resulted in a disconnect. It's mostly the newer ones nowadays, not so much the older ones. Yeah. And so it's like over time that will begin to drift more and more into like more of the Quick roster is like way more sustainable, but it's going to require them to literally go back and fix every single other unit, which is really stupid and short-sighted of the devs to me. I know what that sounds like, right? You're like, but Cad, you just said over time they'd have to fix this. How is that stupid and short-sighted? Because they would get literally more out of just releasing more supports that would fix the issues. Because that's just a huge payday. And then it uplifts all the other Quick units, then people desire the other Quick units. Rather than having to go through and fix them one by one, but never getting the major cash-in of ever releasing another meta support. So it's like, it's wild to me that like the devs are actually going about it in the least profitable way they could. But I guess. On them one at a time. Yeah, and that's... I'm worried at this point that one of two eventualities occurs. Eventuality number one. Units are permed. What do I mean? They're literally never buffed. They're never going to have as strong of a kit as some of the newer units do. Or eventuality number two, the devs shift their stance and they actually release a meta support, thus breaking the really, really strong units that they've released. Something tells me it's gonna be option two! Because that's how it's been over the years. They end up going like, shit, the community really does just want a new meta support. Okay, let's give it to them. And then they do. But then because they took the other stance for so long, they created a monster. And then they go like, shit, now we've got some major power creep on our hands. And it's like, you can see, it's like, this is just how FGO has been over the years. They kind of always do this. So, I don't know. I suspect they'll eventually shift their stance. But I do agree. I think that is the stance that the devs are currently on. That's like the trend that they're going with. Like an Altera situation? Yeah. I mean, you start thinking about it, it's like... There are still some signs of this. Like, for instance, when you look at a unit like Jack. Chat, why does Jack the Ripper not have an NP interlude? At least not a proper one. I don't know how much chat has ever noticed this. Chat, what's the rule? When you do an NP interlude, NP2 becomes NP1. NP5 becomes NP2. So, this should be 1600. This should be 2K. Oh. Oh. Interesting how that works. There's still some things like this that exist in the game that just leave you scratching your head. Is this fixable? Yeah, absolutely.
Give her a second NP interlude. Boom, there you go. She gets the Vlad treatment. There's at least signs that the devs respected / feared Quick. They still do to a large degree. And like Jack is one of those where they just have never really wanted to give Jack a full buff because I think they worry about it. Now, tell you what, Jack will probably be a really interesting one in the sense of upcoming Fate content. They may very well decide that the time is synergistic and buff Jack, and that'd be good. I do wonder, though, why they waited so long. And when I start to look at things like this, I start to really just wonder what the devs are up to. Because it's like, it's not like you can't sit here and go like, oh man, what should we buff with Jack? Like there's literally like, you could touch any of these skills and it'd be fine. Like for instance, you could literally just come in and be like, hey, it's now 3 turns quick up. Removes one enemy's buff and the critical attack chance for 3 turns. I don't know, you could add some sort of third additional effect here. Something that helped out Jack or made her feel a little bit more assassination-y. And then quite literally right here. I like this is a strong skill in its own right. You could manage to do some sort of additional effect. Like you could have it be a heal and you could have it be a star absorption reduction on the target. Yeah, or that. You could also make it so that it instead increases crit damage or something. So, any number of things. It's just, I look at this and I'm like, there's any number of things you could do with Jack's kit. It's still absolutely the epitome of a year 1 kit. And it's still strong for what it is, but it is what it is. So, I really just wonder why they haven't gone ahead and given like Jack certain buffs. Because Jack is way left behind in a lot of ways. I never liked how Jack is a heal. It's really funny because I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, this heal sucks. And I'm like, bro, I don't know. That's a really short cooldown. Just saying. Like, it's not like the most amazing heal in the game, but it's still pretty good. But the materials suck. I'm fine with these. These are all year 1 mats. I got these in spades. What character in FGO has the hottest voice? Is that even a question? Chat, answer. Any Saber voice? Yeah. I think, like, obviously I have my bias, right? But, like, I think removing bias from it, the general consensus is shooting. It just is. Like, shooting just... Yuki just did that voice way too good. Way too freaking good. Subjective to the person? Yeah, I could see that. But that's what I'm saying. The general consensus is shooting. I kind of hope we get another shooting doji. in a weird way, I know everybody likes Ibuki, but in a weird way, I feel like Shooten got done dirty by that. It's kind of like the whole Arjuna versus Arjuna altar thing. It's like, it almost feels like OG Shooten is kind of forgotten at this point. Which, like, don't get me wrong, I get it, but I still feel like they can do more. You get a 4-star extra class Shooten in event. Caster Shooten not getting a buff was a crime. Yeah, it's funny too, because I think, was it one of you commented on one of the videos and was like, hey, but Cad, I just got Caster Shooten and she's really good for my account. Like, that was the Evocation Festival video, and most of those welfares are really good. Like, if I had to like go through and actually rank the welfare and be like, hey, these are the ones you should get, these are the ones you shouldn't, there's a couple on that list that like you should probably not get. In the sense of, you can get them eventually, but they absolutely need to be like last on the list when you have like nothing else to buy. Caster Shooten's not one of them. Like, she's not one of my first choices, but she's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. I think the things that hurt Caster Shooten are the existence of like Jerker. And frankly, the Mecha Ellies. So both of these two overlap quite strongly with Caster Shooten, and both of them have 20% charge, which is something Shooten doesn't. So it's like, you can still use Caster Shooten. She's at least a single target caster. If that's all you need, go for it. Nothing wrong with her. Like, she definitely needs an upgrade at this point. She could use some attention, but the one thing that she does decently well, she does hit pretty hard. It's time for Ellie Japan to show up. Yeah. Not for her, I wouldn't have beaten Aphrodite back in Olympus. Yep. That's why, like, I can sit there and I can talk about it, but chat, it's your account. Like, this is what's always so weird about this sort of thing. And this is why you guys know, like, I'm not the hugest fan of tier lists. I am probably going to this year start making tier lists for you guys because people seem to really want it. It seems to be what basically the community is powered on. I'm not the biggest fan because tier lists often make people shut their brains down. So at the end of the day, I can sit here and I can say, you know, Jack the Ripper is like B rank or something like that. Maybe even C rank. Okay. But if you need a single target assassin, Jack the Ripper doesn't matter that she's these things. If she's what's available to you, she becomes EX rank because it's what you need. And so that's like the big thing I always try to like hammer home to people is like, your own account is unique to you. You have rolled things that other players at your level have not, and vice versa. So what you need is going to change, and that's going to change what it is that you are going to try and acquire. Context matters. It really does. If I don't need a unit in the evocation, I'll still take NP1 and ascend them for the rare prism. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. At least at that point, you have them worked on, right? But that's all I'm trying to say. Is like, I'll probably do it. Y'all know my problem, though. I have a tendency to wax philosophic and get long winded with you. I can absolutely be much faster about things. I just don't. Most of the time, I try to give you guys context because I know that, like, nobody else does. When I sit here and I try to talk to you guys about why, why is this skill good? I know that, like, most other people will just look at it and immediately go skill bad, or they'll tell you it's good, but they won't tell you why. Whereas I'll be like, okay, well, the cooldown is really low. That actually makes it spammable. Yes, it's not a huge amount, but hey, it's something. You don't have to level it up very much to get at least a decent impact out of it, and it might just kind of keep you alive down a stretch if you're maybe lacking healing, or it'll provide supplemental healing to you to kind of keep you up. Is it going to be the sole thing that can keep you alive? No, but most stuff in the game, nothing is, right? So it's like you're going to need multiple things. So it's just a piece of the puzzle. It's like I can sit there and I can tell you that, or I could just be like, the skill's actually pretty decent. I can get laconic if I have to. I don't have to give you guys an explanation. It's just, I know. I don't know that the rest of chat knows. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why I do that. I want an NP15 red or Kentucky. That is a terrible idea. Wait, why NP15? Hold on. Yeah, the skill Gucci, yes. Waiting for an Ellie of every class. I don't think you'll see an Ellie of every class, just in the same way as, like, we still don't have an Artoria of every class, so I don't think you're gonna get that at any point. It'd be nice. Like, I don't have an issue with it. I don't know why. Like, it's clear to me at this point that, like, obviously both Artoria and Ellie fans want that, and I don't know why the devs don't give it to them just to appease them. But maybe they're just stalling things out over time. Did the event of Kentucky have a rerun? Which one? We're talking about Rashomon? Wait, what was the one after Rashomon? Onigashima. Sorry, I could not think of the name all of a sudden. But yeah, it had a rerun. Do we need an Artoria of every class? I do. Like what does it matter? When you ask me a question like that, I'm giving you the biased answer, chat. I need it. So what do I care? This is for me at this point, not you. Okay, cat, just for you. Exactly. Listen, Nasu will never do anything just for me. Obviously, at this point, I am critical enough of Nasu at points that I never expect anything in this community to ever get done on my behalf. You're missing a moon cancer, Saberface, I think. There is no moon cancer. There is no pretender. Is that it? I think that's it. I mean, technically shielder, but, you know. Only one shielder, so that's kind of a barking up the wrong tree. What about Avenger? There's an Avenger Saberface. Unless you're wanting a specifically Artoria face. Yeah, Okitan. I thought we were talking Artoria? See, if it's Artoria, there's what? There's 3 sabers. 1 archer. 2 lancers. Just one rider? No, 2 riders. Caster's just Castoria. Assassin just MHX. Zerker just Zerktoria. And then Gray is technically not Artoria. Oh, yeah, sorry, 2. My bad. What did I forget? The ruler just Bunny? Avenger, there is not one. Moon Cancer, there is not one. Oh god, where, what? Jesus. Oh, wait. Yeah, triple X. Sorry, double XA. Wait, was double XA Moon Cancer, though? No, she's... Shit, I lost it. Oh, no, right. She's foreigner. Okay, yeah. God. Chat's throwing me for a loop here. Yeah, so there's actually 3 foreigners, which is wild. There is no pretender and there is no alter ego. So yeah, it's really lopsided. Ugh. Honestly, while I get it, I do feel like I do like double X alter, but I really kind of question what the devs were doing with this one, because it's honestly, it feels the same as like with Abby, where it's like, hey, we have OG Abby who's a foreigner, and then we have Summer Abby who's a foreigner, and you're like, why? Like, why do you keep double dipping like that? At least with like Mixa and MH double X, not only are there 2 different variants, but it's also one's a single target arts, the other's an AoE quick unit, so they're kind of pretty distinctly different. Double X alter is just kind of, hey, I'm you, but I'm Buster instead. Like, it's literally the same thing as double X to me. So to me, I wish they had taken a little bit of a different route. I feel like Pretender or Trade be Morgan or Mordred. No, I can think of different ways of doing it. With Santa Abbey, they finally gave her another class. They did. Santa Abbey's still one of those ones where, like, I really don't understand this character. Like, on so many different levels. Like, I don't really get what the devs were trying to do with this one. I kind of see it, but it's still just a really, like, weird thing to me. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Because, like, frankly speaking, the master skill enhancement the amount that it gives is way too small for it to be something useful. Like it's there, but it's not a huge deal. And her thing does stack at least, but it's like, eh. They used her to experiment with ideas. I want to make an adventure, but a foreigner. I don't know. I think when she gets added back to the Evocation Festival, she'll get a buff. I really do, because I think outside of her event, people just have not used her at all. That's basically just Tez's passive, yeah. And I mean, like, she has it. She has the master up by 20% on the field for 3 turns. Okay. Like, multi-turn duration, 10% here. So, like, she's getting 30% there. I guess in theory, if you looped her in P, you could get all the way up to like 50%, but that's just not a thing. And frankly speaking, you could never actually use 50% because as you got to the 3rd turn, so you would have 20% from the skill, all 3 turns. You would have 10% stacking from each NP. However, this is a delayed effect. So how it actually would work, chat. Actually, I actually don't know this. I'd have to go back and look. I remember we talked about this when we were first going through it. It may apply to an already existing master buff. It may not have to be on a point of trigger. So if that's the case, what I'm about to say may be wrong. But what I was thinking is that like it's technically a delayed buff because it wouldn't come into play until the next turn. But I don't actually know that off the top of my head, so I'd have to go look. But yeah, it's like it's weird. And when you start thinking about this, it's like, can you enhance master skills? Will that matter? Yeah, I mean, let's go look at that, right? So let's enhance, say, 30%, because that's reasonable. You use 1 support and P plus her skill. Okay. So, like, just taking a look at something like this, it is 30% up on max rank for the attack up. Okay, that's nice. So, 10% of that is 3. So, 30% is 9%. So, this takes a Mystic Code from 30 to 39%. Not bad. Go look at another one. You know what? Give you Anniversary Blonde. Technically your best case scenario. The whopping 60% steroid, right? How much are you going to get out of this? Well, same thing. 10% to 6. So at 30%, you're getting 18%. This turns this into a 78% buster up. Kind of nasty, right? Yeah. Even at 30%, what is the value of this? It's an extra 18% in modifiers. It would have been just better if she just straight up had a 20% extra like attack up or something in her kit. That's the problem with Abby. It's like, does this matter? Does this affect things? Yeah. It's easily outpaced by most other units. Oh, but she gives party-wide arts up for 3 turns. Well, this could stack, but she's not an offensive unit, so you're not looping her. So I think the way they wanted to do this, they wanted to make Abby into an offensive unit when they gave her a supportive kit. So what she ends up being is she ends up being an offensive support hybrid. The way to think about Abby, chat, she's Himiko. That's really what she is. That's really what Abby is. She is discount Himiko. Because she has a little bit of survivability. She basically ends up buffing her own arts, her own crit, her own stars per turn. She overcharges. She increases the max HP of child servant allies. Oh. Yeah. To me, that's what they really wanted to do. She even gives 50% crit. Yep. It's like, that's her major shtick. It's, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be the pseudo support / offensive generator. Only Himiko is way better. You're not wrong. So it's like, I'm not going to say you can't use her effectively and you can't do stuff, but if you're looking at her purely from a support standpoint, there's no point. Not in my opinion. I think you could come up with way better compositions than she can provide. However, if you're going to use her as the solution or part of the solution, I think that's where she works best. So, like, she's not terrible, but I think it requires you to think outside the box to use her a little bit better. Her class isn't great for support. Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. But I do agree. It's like, I've seen people liken her to Super Ryan before, and it's like, I don't think she's quite Super Ryan status, but it does feel like that's what they were trying to do with her. So, like, what they really want you to do is they really want you to, like, NP into an arts chain with her. And the only issue I have with this is that, like, yeah, the stars are kind of a problem. You have a star bomb and stars per turn. So it's like, that's what they're trying to do, because you're not going to generate stars with this, which is kind of wild because they actually gave her a whopping 20%. Problem is, like, even with these hit counts, chat, you're not exactly going to be like the star generator in that regard. Also, definitely weird as that. That doesn't help things. So it is what it is. But she's a cute sugar plum fairy. Yeah. But I think that's what they want you to do. They want you to, like, sit there and keep, like, arch chaining her and trying to, like, crit your way back to NP after NP so that you do loop her. Because to me, that's the only way that this really becomes powerful, is if you loop it. Otherwise, I don't think it really, like, does too much as a one-off NP. But when you start thinking about it from that perspective, you can see it drains, it heals, it gives stacking crit up, it increases her arts performance. Everything is designed to make her sit there and keep coming back and doing it over and over and over again. That's where the strength is. She needs a better solo kit. I mean, honestly, it's not terrible. Like, they did at least give her a, like, hard defense skill. So it would pair well with Lady A. Yeah. I think, like, I'd basically load her up with, like, a healing command code. I mean, depending on the fight, like, maybe like a cleanse or something like that. But otherwise, I'd just start stacking, like, crit damage, star generation, arts up, like, and just sit there and, like, try to start making her cards, like, monstrous. None of them could be ruler, though. Wait, what do you mean? Put all the cards with heal on them and she'll be survivable. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, she heals 3,000 per NP. So even if you don't get an immediate loop back, odds are you're probably going to, like, NP every other turn at worst. You're draining the enemy, so they're not getting to their NP as fast. And you're going to be probably outpacing the amount of damage that they're doing to you for the most part. I think worst case, yeah, you throw 1 or 2 healing command codes on, and then if you really have to, you kind of do that. I think in a like weird scenario where she can mitigate enough not to die, but is still taking a ton of damage, you could do like Maiden Halloween, but I don't think you need to. Because I think it's literally just a case of this unit actually does have a lot going on for them. It's just odd because at first glance, you're not sure what it is that the devs are trying to do with it. So I think a lot of players just look at Abby and think kit's bad. And to the degree, the kit is a little bit wonky, but it's actually more synergistic than first meets the eye, if that makes sense. It's just like, it's synergistic in a weird way that the player doesn't normally want to do. But like, I think you could absolutely just watch someone just like solo their way right through things with Abby. Someone said they would have been better as a I see. Yeah, like, I mean, you're not wrong. I think like at that point though, that'd be a little bit terrifying because you add in like 50% damage mitigation against most enemies. That's disgusting. Like, Ruler is a really, really strong undervalued class. And again, this kind of gets back to the original idea of like, how do we feel about certain classes? Ruler is one of those that everybody goes like, oh, but it doesn't have too much in the way of offense. Ruler is known for having high health, low attack, and so people go like, oh, that means it's not got good damage. There's something to be said about being unkillable. There's something to be said about just sitting there and like lighting people up and critting them in the face over and over again. So it actually does get to a point where it gets pretty strong depending on what you're doing. And I've noticed that time and time again that somebody like, again, like say Bunny, for instance, can just sit there and just solo nodes over and over and over again. Because the mitigation is there, the health is there, the hard survival's there. So in that period in time, it doesn't really matter how much offense I have, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat you to death one way or the other. And then add in, you know, again, Bunny's ability to like sit there and crit, and it's just disgusting. So like, not every unit's going to be Bunny, but you do have other units, even like Janu, where like, chat, I literally sold an entire bar of Ort with John. Like, it is what it is, and it's freaking hilarious when it works. And I think it's not meta, but it's still really good, if that makes any sense. Like, meta has always been min turning, going fast, trying to get like through nodes the fastest, but like the consistency and the safety that like something like a Ruler can provide can be really, really strong. I think what really hurt things like Rulers for a while was we did have a period there where I want to say pretty much from like LB3 to like did it even extend into LB7? I think it did, but like I'm gonna say like from LB3 to like LB6, you just had some really god awful strong berserker bosses, and that is not good for taking Rulers against. Like, Rulers are just going to get shat on if there's something that's actually effective against them. Doubly so when, I mean, frankly speaking, you had someone like Arjuna Alter that was able to just walk in and it's like, oh, are you one of the highest health, most mitigatable units in the game? Cool, I one-shot you. Not a lot you can do in that. Like, at that point, that's where taunting comes in, invulning, like your hard defenses and stuff like that. It's like, I understand why the devs go that design route sometimes to mix things up, but they almost started to do it too often. And it's like, if you do it too often, you literally give no value to like the more traditional forms of defense. At that point, it's very much a kill or be killed. And you've taken away the entirety of like stall for options. Just like John Ultra shits on QSH. Yep. Yep. And that's why I've said it. It's like, it's just an issue that I've noticed over time. We'll see. I'll be curious to see, like, down the stretch if they ever start trying to bring back stall content a little bit more. I feel like it's actually good for the game if they do, because stall content in a weird way is some of the, like, it can get boring because it's repetitive, but it's some of the most, like, educational content that you can do in the game. Because stall content teaches you managing cooldowns, paying attention to a boss's cycle and rotation, what they're doing, and kind of just like triaging importance in like actions. And it's like, I feel like that's something that FGO hasn't done too much of. Even if I were to look at something like, say, like the Olga quests, to me, that wasn't even stall content because you didn't really ever get to stall. It was like you had 3 turns and you're dead each wave. So I think that's the thing that I've noticed, is that like the game actually does lack more stall oriented content, where it's like you're designed to outlast and exploit opportunities of like vulnerability rather than, hey, just sit there constantly going balls to the wall. That's where something like the King Protea fight back in the day in CCC was really good. Stall comp, you playing chess against the AI? You mean chess? Yeah. If they bring back stall, Scotty needs another MP upgrade with stackable evasion. I've said it before. I think they fucked up the Scotty upgrade. Scotty's upgrade was one of those where when you look at her at face value, this upgrade doesn't seem that good for her, but it could be good for her down the line. Like, giving her the attack up for the party that's 5 turn durations, low-key kind of lit. The problem is just Scotty doesn't have the ability to get to her NP naturally most of the time. So if that ever does get addressed and Scotty can get to this NP more naturally, this NP gets really strong offensively. That's weird, though, because Scotty's other alternative does not have a defensive NP. So it's like, she's the defensive one. I'm surprised it didn't go further into defensive capability. But I think the entire reason that they didn't is because, to understand this, chat, as you go back in time, there was a period there where they noticed that people weren't rolling for additional copies of support units, like the meta supports. People just got the 1 copy and got out. Scotty was an attempt to rectify that by giving you something that scaled with the NP. Because they noticed that after Castoria came out, everybody rolled high NP levels of Castoria to get the extra attack power on her NP. And they're like, wait, that worked. Let's do it here. And it didn't work here because Scotty can't get to the NP naturally. And that just immediately backfired on them. But this was what they were attempting to do. They were trying to give you another reason to roll more NP levels of Scotty. And I think they looked at that, and I'm sure they probably realized that, like, giving more stacks of evasion or something, yeah, they could make it scale. It would not have been a reason for people to roll. People would have just said, screw it, I'm just going to get Castoria, I don't care. You could use charge per turn on her first skill. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what they want to do. I wouldn't be surprised to see them eventually buff Scotty. I don't think she's bad. I think she's still a really, really good unit, but she definitely has some issues compared to some of the more meta options at this point. So we'll see what they do with her in the future. Serious issues in comparison to the meta options, yeah. I just thought the early Moriarty fight with Scotty, Mash, and Charlie. Moriarty couldn't do any damage with all the defense up and damage reduction running around. Yep. And that's definitely something you could do. Like, it's why, to a degree, like people were so upset about Mash's change into the Ortneus suit, because they lost the original form of her, and Mash was one of the best defensive units in the game with that first form. When they forced you into the second one, it's not that you couldn't use it effectively, but it lost the party-wide protection capability for when your like taunt was on cooldown or when you didn't want to use it type deal. So I think that's why people had such an issue with it. I don't think she was unusable by any means, but yeah, I think having that or like having a waiver in place of her, something like that in the mix, you get quite a bit of defensive uptime, and it's really strong. Like if chat remembers, one of the old school comps still works to this day to a large degree. Used to be Tamamo, waiver, Vlad. And Tamamo would sit there and reduce skill cooldowns, heal and charge everyone. Waiver would charge and protect everybody and enhance damage. And Vlad would just sit there and carve up anything because he was a berserker. So you got quite a bit of mileage out of this. And really, these two just kind of focused on keeping Vlad alive. Your biggest issue was if there was enough damage, Tamamo couldn't out-heal it, and then you ended up in a weird spot. But Waiver could at least sit there and try to like stack defense to try to help things. I think people give Orton Mash too much shit nowadays. I agree. I think like people get really close-minded and they don't want to like they're just immediately like, oh, it's worse, and they don't want to think about how to use it properly. Think of us Mash in a 5-star variety. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see Mash start doing like AoE attacks or some crap in the future. But yeah, it's like it's just different. Ortonax is a little bit more offensive on the bunker bolt, but also utilizing that double taunt is really, really good. I think if I were going to make any change to Ortonax, we have it here. Yeah. If I were going to make any change, it'd be right here. This skill, considering this is a invuln pierce and invuln, this skill should have had like some sort of self-defense. Because the problem that I've noticed is like this skill's really good for taunting. This skill is really good for getting Mash killed. Which, depending on your strategy, may be good. Depending on your strategy, may be fucking terrible. So like, that's the issue I usually have with this skill is I sit here and I go like, I just don't want to use it because I'm probably going to get her killed most of the time. So it's like, I can do it if I can get to an NP and then use that to get me the defense. But if I can't, then... Two taunts and a 30-star bomb is really neat. It is. It is. Like I said, I think people just... They give it way too much crap. It's not bad. It's actually a pretty darn skillful, capable set. But people got too hooked on being a snowflake. And again, like when you look at it, it's like it's only 20%, but damn, it's really nice. 20% plus the damage cut plus her NP. It starts to get really, really strong. I'm just saying, it's an impervious wall of snowflakes. Okay. We live? Wait, what do you mean? Upgraded skill 1, skill 3 synergize really well. Yeah. Always have. And that's why I'm saying, like, I would have changed Amalgam Goad here to basically take part of the first skill. Like give herself self-defense up of 20% or something like that. I think what's missing from Ortonax is the sort of group-wide utility, but I also think that's what makes it different, so it's fine. Oh, your Twitch crashed, yes. It's all good. You'll see them address skill 1 to be 3 turns straight instead of 1 time. What, you're talking about Bunker Bolt? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, that would get strong. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it, right? I think to a degree it could be perfectly fine, but also like, dear Lord, you could abuse that. Returns a Buster Up. Yeah, but it's 100% Buster Up, right? Like, so if you're doing a mash solo, oh god. Oh god, that would get strong. We see 100%, yeah. It's not just 100% either. It's 100% Buster and 100% Buster Crit. Which is enhanced by class score eventually. So, which is probably something that I think we like maybe don't factor in enough when we talk about balance and stuff. Class score is a weird one because it technically impacts everybody in a class, right? So when you start thinking like, okay, I'm gonna buff all the, I don't know, like archers, right? Sure, you can do that, and everyone's gonna get all those buffs across the board. The thing is, certain units synergize better with certain upgrades. So it's like, it can definitely make a huge impact for a certain unit to get like extra like crit damage or extra card type up when they maybe didn't have it before. Should have finished the remaining missions in the event. It's all good. We got, what, 2 days? I think the double taunt is pointless if the boss does AoE normals. I do agree with that. I think that is the weakness of it. And so it's like, to me, Ortanaeus is not bad. However, it's different. So to me, the failing is not that it's bad. The failing is that they didn't let you switch at times. Because there are times I'd prefer to use Ortanaeus. There's other times I would prefer to use just her original set. And it really just depends. I will say the majority of the time I would prefer to use the original set. Because the original set's more party oriented. But it doesn't make this one bad. And there are still times where having that double taunt is really useful. Bad Civ Avalon, indeed. Man, I should have honestly automatically unlocked depends and etc. as story progressed. I think that's probably just an oversight on their part. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see, like, at the end of part 2, stuff like that get addressed. But it also depends. Like, it depends on whether or not part 2 wraps up, like, the whole MASH story, or whether part 2 is like, now there's more. I guess it also depends on what they want to do with regards to like unit progression and scaling in the future. Like, for all we know, part 3 might like up level cap or like raise the amount you can enhance a character in some way. So we need her bond CE too. What are you talking about? You're not bonded enough with MASH yet. Still only MP3, yep. Yeah, what's wild to me is she's 4-star at level 90. Like, it's so weird because it's like they're trying not to make her a 5-star, and I'm like, just make her one. She kind of deserves it at this point. Bunsey will be a child with MASH. Jesus, chat. They consider her grailed. I know. Which is fine. I don't mind that to a degree. Summer Okuni or Chiome. Chiome easy. Damn. The man's a simp. If we can't get a bond 10 this time, they will have messed up a great opportunity. I like this sort of stuff's always difficult because it's difficult to tell like what they want to do with like progression over time, right? And to a degree, someone like me can sit here and can look at this and predict what they're going to do with MASH, and that gives me insight as to the future. So they have to actually be a little bit careful, because if they do, if they tip their hand, someone like me is going to figure it out, right? Like, so that's why I say it's like, I don't mind them doing stuff more in the future, but they need to be somewhat cautious with how they do it. And I think that's why like they do things in such a measured, long form approach. Because like, I'll be real with you guys, like some of the upgrades that we've gotten to MASH over the years, like we did not think would be a thing. Like you're so used to like MASH being as is, you don't realize like, yeah, they actually have been progressively upgrading MASH throughout time. I mean, that'd be great. Let me grail more. It's really funny to watch like how lore restrictive Nasu can be on certain things, and then like meanwhile we're just like 3D printing grails and like handing them out like they're candy now. And I'm like, okay, Nasu, go for it. I'm not gonna complain, but like, what are you doing? I think it'll likely have a level 100 MASH. Probably. I like, and I don't think there's any problem with that because they do require MASH for certain things. So if that's their solution, is to make MASH stronger so that she can help carry the player through stuff, I think that's fine. I think that's like one of the issues the devs are going to have over time is how they deal with how do I put it? Like how they deal with player progression and getting players caught up to story. And we've talked about that many times before, that they just have so many options that I'm just not sure what they do. You think they'll make her a Grand Shielder? Doesn't matter. Like, I guess it depends on what they want to do with the Grand system, but like to a degree, if she's the only shielder, she is by default the Grand, right? A new 5-star match with a completely different kit. I don't think it'd be crazy to say that they might do like another costume with a new kit, but who knows? Like that could definitely be something that they could do for part 3. Assuming we still have MASH in part 3. MASH loses the Demi qualification. Yeah, that stuff has like occurred to me before, that depending on how the devs want to go with like the narrative on MASH, they could either turn her fully human or take her into the realm of a servant. And I'm not sure which, because there's two motifs here. One is, if they make her fully human, it's the idea that you're defining what humanity is. That anything can be human if it's sentient and conveys a similar set of emotions to normal humanity. The other one is to make her into a full servant, and this one is the theme of MASH coming into her own, proving her worth, and basically at that point kind of being like, hey, you know, this is now my story. It's not Galahad's story. It's me. So it's like, I don't really care as long as they do one of them. Both of these are good stories. So, but I wonder, like, are they going to find some unexpected, like, middle road? Do you think they'll do a third kit for part 3? They could. I'm not like 100% convinced because, like, again, it really depends on like what they do. Like if they try to like kill Mash and the Master off for part 3, then obviously they're not going to do that. But if they continue on, do I think it's likely that Mash gets another kit? Yeah, absolutely. Apparently, you can choose between 8 different Mash sprites. Not enough. Where's my cash shop Mash with like all sorts of different customizable like color wheel options? Where's my RGB lights on the round table shield? Like, come on. Bonsega's 500 damage cut for 2 times 3 turns. I would like to see a Bonse that is strong for Mash. A la like something like on the level of like Herc, where it's just like stacking defense on defense on defense or some crap. But like and the reason I say it is because like I feel like she deserves it, and I feel like it befits her given not only her lore, but also the lore of like the Demi that she is. Like what she's wielding, all of that. It makes sense to me that she should actually be a little bit stronger than she is. Because in a weird way, gameplay-wise, while Mash is really good, in terms of actual defensive capability, she's strong, but she's not like best in game, like game-defining, like defensive capability. And I'm not saying she needs to be, but she's also not that close to it either. We can actually get stronger setups depending on what we want to do. However, I feel like Mash's lore kind of indicates that she should. And we see that narratively throughout the story where Mash just is literally a like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like not like an I win button, but basically just like a get out of jail free card constantly. Yeah, like any like, oh god, you're about to die to this incoming hit, Mash deflected it. Yeah. So it's like she's implied to be incredibly strong and capable. So I'm surprised that they haven't gone a little bit harder in that. But yeah, this may be a like they'll do it in the future, but not yet. I think maybe they make you the head of Chaldea. That would be a really cool thing. I think I'm dead serious when I say this. Some people might not like this, but I think it would be a really awesome idea to make you the director and allow you to manage Chaldea. So like now you deal with the threats. Now you almost like kind of like chat, you guys know like the party like the account wide like onsen feature. It would be really cool to see you have like a more like permanent management based mini game. Killing off Gordoff. Listen, chat. First of all, 1, Gordoff might sacrifice himself to save us. Or 2, what if Gordoff becomes like Lord of the Clock Tower now? Like, what if we actually promote him? Grand Gordy, yep. Lordy Gordy, yep. But no, like I could see something like that. So it'd be kind of like the onsen mechanic where it's like you have features where it's like, oh, okay, hey, you have pools of servants, you need to cool them down so that they can go out and they can battle like Singularity 1 or Singularity 2 or Singularity 3, or Singularity 4. This could get really annoying depending on how they do it, but I have confidence as devs that they were going to do something like this, that they would find a way to do it a little bit better than maybe some other games do. But I think that'd be an actual cool feature. Is like, now all of a sudden you're putting more choice in the player's hands, and the player still goes out there, they still fight manually, yada, 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 blah, 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 right? But like, I think that'd be cool. Part 2, Gordy's done with this crazy mage shit and we get promoted. Yeah, Gordy goes off, he literally like goes, finds Koyanskaya, attaches himself to the egg, and like gets launched into space with her. He'll be the only one standing between us and seal designation. Which is why Gordolf's not going to be there anymore, so that we can get seal designation enforced. I will say this, and like maybe Ordeal Call 4 will deal with it some, but like something that's been incredibly missing from FGO that is super prevalent in Fate is like the church. And while we've had obviously like religious stuff, I actually want to see like more dealings with like the clock tower and the church and stuff like that. I want to see a little bit more of that, like get down in there nitty gritty. And it doesn't have to be all like religion evil. In fact, you could do it where like you just display, you know, different church factions. So it's like obviously the seal designation enforcers coming there trying to kill you. They're kind of the baddies, yada, yada, yada. Maybe there's like some corruption behind them, yada, yada, yada. But then there's like, oh, hey, here's the good side of the church, and they're trying to help you escape them and like figure out some sort of like mystery or something, right? So they could do something like that, and I feel like that'd be a really interesting story to tell. But include the church stuff is because of the regions they're releasing. As long as they're like reasonably respectful about it, like I think obviously at this point, like if you're Christian, you're used to like seeing like Christianity in general come under the lens, so it's not a huge deal as long as it's not like, Mecha Jesus is coming to kill us all, and I'm like, oh, okay, like yeah, it's like if you do something like that, people are gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing, right? Usually in general, it's like just stay away from the major like religious icons and you'll probably be okay. But honestly, like I have faith in Nasu to do it justice because Nasu does a hell of a lot of research on things. So cross machine gun. Calm down, Trigun. I know where you're getting that idea from. What? No Mecha Buddha? Oh, you're right. Yeah, Mecha Jesus and Mecha Buddha have a like a gigantic like kaiju battle. I want Redline. You want racing? No, I think that was Summer 2. And technically, what, Guda 7? They fused into Mecha Jesus Buddha. That's true. If they did go religion bad, I wouldn't be surprised after decades of religion bad media, so no one would be really... The one more wouldn't really move the needle. I would be pissed, but I would be pissed mostly because, like, I expect better out of Nasu. Because, like, Nasu does include religion in, like, all of this shit. And not just, like, any one religion either. He's included multiple. But that's also where it's like, yeah, I don't expect it, because Nasu does a pretty good job of... across like the entire pantheon of religions, just trying to be like decently respectful and showcase them in a like mystical and like awe-inspiring way. Bunny event was a race too. I guess, yeah. Getting older, it feels like lazy writing. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I understand why people want to dog religion, but I also feel like in doing so, it's kind of a like, be careful what you wish for. Like, religion does serve a purpose, whether or not you agree with it or believe in it. It's like, it's at least served for many people as like a moral code. And dear Lord, there's like no morality anymore in modern society, so it's getting like bad. And I in a weird way, I feel like we're gonna see a shift back towards it because it just happens. The pendulum swings. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really care what they do for part 3 as long as it's different and it's interesting. Like, I would love to see them explore a story where it's like, hey, yeah, you know what? Chaldea is now the threat. They're too strong. Because that was what was hinted at the beginning of part 2 is like, hey, whoa, we got to take you guys over because you are literally a threat to humanity's existence yourselves. Like, you have the ability to alter time. What's to stop you from going back in time and killing every descendant of, like, the clock tower, for instance? And it's like, oh, we would never do that. Okay, chat. It is late enough for me, though. Let me see who all's on. I see a Mr. Gotcha Gurus. They're doing some just chatting. They're still continuing their subathon. So I'm gonna send you guys their way. I should be back tomorrow, chat. Hopefully with good news. Hopefully with like some nice stuff and not rants about work. Content like YouTube wise is going to be a little bit slow here for a little bit. I mean, FGO itself is slow right now, but like just because again, chat, I'm going to have to like pick up where I left off. So I got to get with Okayist and stuff, and as you guys know, it's Easter this weekend, so that'll also play into things, but just bear with me. Again, hopefully things turn out for the better now. I'm optimistic. I hope. But again, thank you guys for being here. Appreciated getting to talk with you guys, getting to see your faces again, even though I didn't get to see your faces. And yeah, I'll be back for the next one. Go give Mr. Gotcha Gurus my love. Have a good one.